Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field that Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fuck with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoe, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. But need OG to keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I bust soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I been so real, I'm down to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I got a gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me and Dan, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lawyer, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't relate but like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I told her mom that I bust soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are down and I dare the show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shooting this brace, I'm going in a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Ayy, just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide.
Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a Frankie Kendall's live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sorry, guys, I just ran into the studio here. Sorry for no intro there. Had to go grab that Aztecian cactus Starbucks water here. What is going on, Mafia? Bitcoin with the choppity chop here, pushing into our value area low. Now getting a little bit of a rejection, but we are pushing into some local fib levels. Are we going to be able to bounce? I'm going to cover everything on tonight's live stream, guys. As we reject the 786, this is an important level of resistance, but I'll try to give you my idea here in this complete and total chop. We got a perfect rejection from our anchored VWAP from the all-time high. Are we going to be able to continue back up and cruise to that POC at $117 to $118,250? I'm going to try to give you the clearest path there and then show you guys how I am personally treating this price action. But shout out to the Mafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Let me catch my breath here and take a sip of this coffee, guys. Oh, that's hot. Don't microwave your coffee, guys. Good Lord. That's going to hurt tomorrow. But let's see. Shout out to the Mafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got Jack in the chat. What is going on? Shout out to Jack for gifting those 5 Frankie Kendall's memberships. And hopefully, guys, I don't have stream deck issues here. Shout out to Jack. Thank you so much for gifting those memberships. I appreciate you. I think the stream deck is fixed, guys. I had to do some updates. Hopefully, I don't freeze here and disappear off the screen like I did last night. But we got Parnov in the chat. We got Panda the Prophet in the chat. What is going on, bro? You're the Prophet. Tell us what the heck is going on here, man. Shout out to H-Bar. Welcome in. We got K Diggity, Phoebe's boyfriend. Shout out to K Diggity. Welcome in. If you don't know Phoebe, that's my imaginary pet goat that pretty much just gives me the signals here for the Bitcoin chart. We got Perry in the chat. Let's see. We got Cozy. What is going on? Satoshi Chronicles. What is going on, man? Welcome in, Satoshi Chronicles. Because you're in the Satoshi family, if you could just text your cousin, bro, and get him to pump this thing back up. But yeah, guys, we got a lot to look at here on the chart. And to see if we can get our way back inside this range. So without further ado, guys, we got a lot to look at. So let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. Whew, stream deck almost. Okay, cool. All the lower thirds are up. That's awesome. I don't know why that's happening. Of course, the stream deck is going to give us issues today. But guys, here we are, right? As we looked at in the market update earlier today and yesterday on the live stream. Shout out to anybody who tuned into yesterday's live stream because, I try to explain exactly, not only exactly what I'm looking at here on the charts, but also like why I don't look to FOMO into positions. And I go over this almost every single day. And I just want to show this just because it is very important because I know a lot of people get very antsy, right? Looking for moves, afraid they're going to miss the move. And I always say, right, like there is just no reality that exists where I am going to take a long position after price has gotten a big push to the upside. That doesn't mean that we can't get a continuation higher. Obviously, the bias yesterday based off of our 4-hour money flow, which is still attempting to cross over into the green here. You can see we got a little dip down, but that money flow is still coming up. But when we were seeing this yesterday, guys, what does this tell me, right? This tells me, well, if I know money flow indicates the overall trend. When this crosses into the green, it does indicate that the trend will continue to the upside. When it crosses into the red, it does indicate that the trend will continue to the downside. And when we see this money flow trending to the upside yesterday, of course, right, that looks good for a continuation to the upside. However, when we're sitting up here, guys, this is never an area in no reality would I ever take a long position up here. Does that mean that I don't think it's possible to come up from there? Absolutely not, but I'm okay to miss that position because more often than not, you are going to get some kind of a retracement. And specifically yesterday, as we were talking about that, we were talking about if we are going to get a retracement, where can we potentially look down to? Well, we were looking down to some very, very key levels of support. Let me go ahead and pull up our key levels here. Go ahead and hide that position. And where are those levels here, guys? Let me go ahead and just pull this golden pocket. Obviously, we were looking at the golden pocket pulled from the low to the high, which was confluent here with our golden pocket 786 Fibonacci retracement. Now, there were actually two fib levels here. We had the fib from this higher low, and then we also had more of a local fib sitting right here. And either way, right, you had that confluence on the value area high. And when it comes down to the nitty-gritty here, that value area high is really the most important level to hold on top of. Sure, that golden pocket 786 can give us the idea of, hey, if we are going to look for a lackluster retracement for a potential bounce to break structure back to the upside, where can we look for that to come in? Well, we are going to be looking at that golden pocket 786, and with the confluence here on that value area high, this was the exact level that we looked at yesterday, and I forgot who said it. Somebody commented on the video, like, Frankie, you nailed that level, and they were able to make some money off taking that long position. And guys, I don't know what the heck is going on this week, right? Obviously, you guys know I did take the long position down here from the low. I got stopped out by like a couple of ticks before, only to see price continue in the direction that we wanted. We had that set up in the premium Discord, but of course, I did not get to enjoy that ride because I got stopped out. And on this position as well, guys, this was setting up super, super late at night. I tried to stay up, trying to wait for this entry, but I was just letting the Discord know, like, hey, guys, I am not going to take a position here. We had some low time frame money flow coming out, and it just wasn't something that I could enter right before I go to sleep. And of course, we wind up hopping back up there and getting the move to the upside. Absolutely unbelievable. But again, guys, just like yesterday, I was not FOMOing in at the top. Today, I was not going to FOMO in at the top either. So I was able to avoid that bad long position. But getting that beautiful bounce off the key level that we gave yesterday, this was super, super nice to see. We have broken structure to the upside. And as we looked at on the market update, obviously this value area low at $112,000 was the most important level. Not only hopefully to hold above, which obviously we were not able to do. We wound up breaking down below this. Shout out to the premium Discord. We actually spotted some single prints down here indicating that drop. I was able to get that in the Discord like moments before we got the drop down. But, this is, like I said in the market update, right? Like it's okay to kind of linger down here, or not linger, but it's okay to drop down here, but we really want to hold the higher lows. This is still the biggest level of resistance to get back above and hold to support. As always, guys, viewing this from a volume profile perspective, the reason this level is so important is because if we are able to get back in here and flip this level to support, that obviously will open the door to get our continuation up to the next place where price is likely to go once reclaiming that value area low, which is, of course, going to be the point of control. That rhymed. I didn't mean it, guys. I'm not a rapper, though. But if we are able to hold above this, and of course, this is going to be the level that we would like to reclaim. Once we get above that value area low and hold it, that does reopen the door to the point of control. And again, like I said, losing this temporarily is not a big deal, as long as we don't wind up, of course, coming all the way back down here, losing the value area high, and then getting, obviously, a much bigger drop to the downside. Now, we do have some really, really big levels of support lower. I'll go over those very briefly. We've covered them almost every single live stream recently, but I will go over them very briefly. But at the end of the day, guys, we're kind of just chopping around here. And of course, we did have our key levels of resistance. Yesterday, we came up to kind of that first confluent level, which was the value area low and the golden pocket retracement, and then kind of that second zone. If I were to separate this, right, of course, we always look for those rejections between the golden pocket and the 786, right? But you have your confluence down here with the golden pocket value area low, and then your next area of confluence is sitting right here on the daily MPOC 786, and we also had that anchored VWAP coming in from the all-time high, right? Pretty much anytime we get a big move, I'm always looking at that anchored VWAP from the all-time high and the most recent low, or even the actual tippy low like this. But we came up and literally kissed that anchored VWAP almost perfectly here, and we wound up getting that rejection back below the 786. So what does this mean, right? Well, as we know, right, when we looked at the 4-hour money flow, we are hoping, right, or I am personally hoping that we can continue to hold higher lows, get back in here, flip it to support, and then eventually work our way up to the bigger target here between $117,000 and $118,300. But of course, we do have to get above that value area low, and of course, break above that 786. But when it comes from like a context standpoint, guys, that value area low is really the level. Coming in at about $112,000, $111,880, I think, is the exact level. Get in there, right? That gives us the opportunity to crack above the anchored VWAP, the 786, and then cook up towards that 117 to 118.3K level. So one thing about this level is obviously when we take a look at those higher time frames, I know there's like a lot of debate out there, guys. Like you could tell tensions are high right now because it's like, is the top in? Is the top not in? Are we going for the one last pump to the upside? Is the cycle going to extend? I gave you guys some of my thoughts on that kind of longer term situation last night on the live stream. But when we look at this daily money flow, it is attempting to come up here just a little bit, but it is still technically in the red. Of course, this higher time frame money flow has been a little bit choppy recently. We were in the red, back in the green, back in the red, back in the green, back in the red. So this is a little bit choppy. It's very hard for me to say if this is going to be like a nice crossover or if we're just going to roll over here and come into a bigger red wave. Very difficult call to make. I know a lot of people think we have a crystal ball, but unfortunately, I said yesterday that crystal ball is in the shop. It's getting fixed right now. So it's very, very hard to make a confident call off of that. But all I could take away from this is money flow is in the red. 2-day money flow also trying to come up with a green dot printing. This would be an argument for the bulls here if we are able to hold those higher lows. Maybe we get that 2-day green dot. Maybe we see that money flow continue up. But again, this is just kind of flat, to be quite honest with you. It's not one of those really, really clean money flow waves, right, where you just have a nice green wave and then you start coming out, you cross into the red. We tried to come down here. We're back up. We're back down. We're back up. And this is just kind of sitting here flat. So again, very difficult to kind of call the money flow situation here. But one thing I can say is that VWAP is on the way to that zero line, looking for a potential green dot incoming, which again would be an argument here to be confluent with that 4-hour money flow if we're going to go ahead and continue the higher low and the higher high structure to continue that overall trend on that 4-hour. That 2-day green dot will obviously help us for that push to the upside. I'm going to break this down from a simple just price action perspective as well. But I think the nitty-gritty levels are obviously important because, as you guys know, this was the level we were looking at yesterday, and look at that. So, I like to cover all the key levels, but I know not everybody here is looking for every NPOC and all that stuff, so I'll give you kind of just a general overview of kind of what I'm expecting here. But if we move up to the 3-day, right, with the 2-day, with the daily money flow in the red, with that 2-day money flow kind of undecided here, and then our 3-day money flow trying to trend out. Also, the 16 and the 12-hour money flows are still in the red here. It's very hard to call. There's a lot of mixed signals here on Market Cypher B, but I am still going to say this, right, based off of where we are in the 4-year cycle, if that's what you want to call it, and some of the high time frame bearish divergences we have here, as well as some of the sketchy money flow. Can we scam this back into the green for a bigger push up? I hope so, but I have to take all this money flow being in the red at face value, right? So we do have to be really careful of lower highs and lower lows coming in on the higher time frames, and obviously this would be kind of zone number 1. We don't know if it's going to be the rejection from the golden pocket or the 786, but we are now, right, we got the recovery from the golden pocket, but now we're rejecting that 786, and to be honest, right, like it's not until we get above that value area low and then break above this 786 where that lower high on this level will be invalidated, right? You have the high, the low, the lower high, lower low, lower high, potential lower low. And again, I will cover those lower levels down here as support, and I'll talk about kind of what I'll be watching for down there. But at the end of the day, guys, this is technically the first level where, there would be somewhat of a probability of putting in the lower high. But I would say on the lower time frames or the medium time frames, we're hoping this money flow crosses green, right? That could change things here, especially if we can get above that 786 anchored VWAP, which comes in at about $114,000. And then again, obviously that big target I will be looking at is 117 to 118.3. So it's a little choppy here, guys, to be quite honest. I mean, even if you take a look at these higher time frames, look at that daily candle. It's just like just like a pure example of a doji candle, which does indicate indecision. But that's kind of what I'm looking at here on the lower time frames as far as money flow, as far as putting in higher lows. But we will, again, I'm going to cover the lower levels, and I will bring up some local levels that I'll be watching on the way down. But at the end of the day, guys, I'll actually get into what I was about to say when we get into the longer time frames or the higher time frames. But it's interesting here, guys. I mean, I hope this is not the lower high, right? And then, of course, with this money flow coming up, we can get above it. But again, I wish I could make a super confident call here, but it is very choppy, right? Again, just looking at that daily candle, right? This is a doji candle, shows indecision. And of course, I'm stopped out of this long. Didn't stay up late enough. I thought I was up at 1 a.m. I don't know how late Satoshi wants me to stay up to catch these positions. But yeah, it's just like 2 missed trades, guys. It's just like, it's one of those weeks, man. It's just, you can't control when those setups are going to come. And, at the end of the day, you got to sleep. You got to sleep. What the heck is going on in chat here? What the heck? Yo, Candle's in the chat. Yo, what the heck is going on? Did somebody what happened? Tony T Tony T super chatted a Candle. Candle's in the chat, baby. You guys, that literally caught my eye out of the corner of my eye. I just see the chat just flying. Candle's in the chat. Shout out to Tony D. Are we celebrating? Shout out to Tony D. Actually, speaking of celebrating, guys, before I get into these local levels of support down below and where I'm expecting price to go short term, I do just want to say we do have a new partnership or a new exchange that I've been trying out, WeX, and they are actually doing an awesome bonus or welcome bonus. Hang on, let me pull up my face cam here, guys, because I don't want to pull up my social security number by accident. Let me pull up the announcement here just so you guys can get a view of these deals. But shout out to WeX. We're really excited. I've been using them for a little while here. Where's it at? Tony D, if you could drop that in the announcement section of the Discord, I'll pull that up in a minute. But back to the face cam, can you guys see? Or back to the screen, can you guys see? Okay, cool. I don't know why the lower thirds are all popping up like that, guys. Sorry. But we do have a partnership with WeX. They are doing an awesome bonus, welcome bonus, so you guys can get some bonus funds if you want to sign up, if you're looking for a place to trade. It's super clean, super fast, and I've been using them for a little bit, playing around with them. I like to test stuff out before we actually announce it, and I'm having a pretty good time. As always, you got to manage that risk. You don't want to put all your net worth on one exchange. Any exchange is, victim to hacks or whatever it is, but, I really do like WeX, and, yeah, I'm looking forward to continue trading on there. And yeah, once Tony drops that, I'll show you guys all those bonuses and kind of how they are structured. But back to the charts here. If we do get a drop to the downside here, guys, I will say some of the key levels that I'll be looking at are going to be very similar to what we looked at yesterday, right? Just looking at those simple Fibonacci retracements and also combining that with the high time frame value area high, right? The $108,000 level. At the end of the day, I personally, right now, this will kind of go into the higher time frames as well. I'll kind of cover this first, but let me actually clean up the chart here, right? So we have our upper range, right? Of course, this is the range that we want to get back up in to get that bigger move to the upside. But when we talk about this long term, I know there's like a big battle going on back out there that is like, is the top in? Is the top not in? What is going on? Is the cycle going to extend? Are we just going to see that final pump? And at the end of the day, guys, it's very, very difficult to know. It's never going to be that simple of an answer. And I'm thinking about doing a pre-recorded Bitcoin deep dive to kind of get all my thoughts collected and kind of explain it as I understand it and what I'm looking for in a really clean manner. But when we look at this, right, as long it's the same sentiment as like back here, back here, back here. Every time we come back down to this value area high, guys, it's like if we can hold on top of this value area high, I feel okay, right? And it's really once we get underneath this value area high, and I'll even hide the local support here, it's not until we break down under this value area high and start losing real key support that we have down here that I would be anticipating a much bigger drop down on Bitcoin and a higher probability that the top is in. Now, obviously, we do have some interesting levels of support here. One of the big ones that we've been covering is just the 50-week moving average. This is a very common thing that a lot of people look at. I don't know why I'm searching 50. It's a very common moving average that people look at to kind of indicate the bear market, right? So I'll pull it up, 50-week moving average, and we'll just pull it up here on a clean chart, right? Every time we come down to this, and this is just on the Bybit chart, so I can't go back to the previous cycles, but oftentimes, as long as we can remain above that 50-week moving average, we can typically continue the bull market, right? We've tested it here, got another move up, tested it here, got another move up, tested it here, and then we started closing those weekly candles down below. We've covered this a bunch of times, but typically once you lose that level, more often than not, you can't get back above it, right? Especially when you have like multiple weekly candle closures back there. At that point, right, especially with high time frame money flow coming out, you're looking for the lackluster bounce, the lower high and the lower low to come in. And, we do have some of the similar signals up here, right? We have the massive bearish divergences on the higher time frames. And these key levels down here, guys, it's not for nothing, right? This wick low does come in at about $102,485, which of course is going to be very, very close to that anchored VWAP, right? It's like literally almost at the exact same place as that wick. So when we start to look at this from a volume profile perspective, it's like, if we wind up taking out this low, guys, like it needs to be some kind of aggressive liquidity sweep before getting another massive move up. But it's really got to be a big scam to the upside. Like we really got to start cooking out of there, in my own personal opinion, because once we start closing those weekly candles underneath, call it $102,000, right? You have the $100,000 psychological level, but of course, when you look at the volume profiles, it's like, hey, if we wind up getting stuck underneath here, sure, maybe you get the liquidity sweep down here. We do also have some MPOCs. We've covered this yesterday. We have a weekly MPOC sitting here, and then we have the 2 daily naked points of controls. Again, really sitting directly on that 50-week moving average. And I think had this up the other day. Let me see if I could pull this up. There's a 50-week moving average there that, like an indicator here that can 50-week. I'm not going to be able to find it, of course. Or actually, maybe I can. I'm not going to be able to find it. But actually, this is probably the 50-week moving average right here. I found an indicator yesterday that was able to kind of just allowed me to go to a lower time frame while keeping the 50-week moving average on the chart. Let me just see here. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. Right. So that's probably the 50-week moving average. And you can see, right, I guess this one plots this by dots, which is interesting. I'm seeing this the first time ever. Kind of the same thing. The other one gave me a line, but you can see the 50-week moving average really just sitting right on those levels. This is critical, guys. If we get back down below this value area high, we must hold this level. If we break down below this, I'll be honest, unless it's some kind of a quick wick or like some kind of like a low time frame, we get down below there, like maybe we hang out down there on the lower time frames and then like you can reclaim and send it back up. Like we do not want to hang out underneath this level because of course at that point you're going to be accepted underneath this value area high, which always will make the probability of coming down to that POC much higher based off the laws of the volume profile. You can see the POC sitting here at $96,672. But we do have support, right? So like we're hoping like that's kind of the last level to bounce off of. We already come pretty close to this, especially on that liquidation wick. But this is the huge level, right? $102,000. Like if you want like a simple way to try to identify if the bear market is coming, I would say losing this historically has indicated specifically with weekly candle closures, right? It's okay. I guess technically if we get back down below that 50-week, right, and we hang out down here on the lower time frames with the weekly candle closures above it, right? Well, that just puts us in another situation where you're essentially just wicking into the level, which we have seen before, right? We saw it back here in April. We saw it back here in September of 2024, and we also saw it back here in August of 2024. But notice something, weekly candle closure. We have held it with those weekly bodies. So it's going to be the same thing here. We wind up losing this, and the reason, it doesn't scare me back here. The reason it doesn't scare me back here is just because of where we are timing-wise in the cycle. And I covered yesterday how, and honestly, I talk about this all the time on the channel, right? It's not just, I kind of gave like the bullish, is this time different kind of scenario last night on the live stream. Now, this is never my base case, guys. I'm never just saying like, don't worry about any of the bearish stuff, guys. It'll extend, bull market's going to extend. We have to have alt season, right? I'll never say that. But of course, it is something you can entertain, right? Maybe this time is different. And I've explained this more in detail yesterday. And maybe I'll make that pre-recorded video going over what I would expect that to look like. But, it is worth it to look at this from a traditional 4-year cycle perspective. So unless we get like a great melt up, right? I would generally be expecting either, if we lose the 50-week moving average, definitely not looking good for the rest of the cycle. But even if we do hold here, I would still say if you're looking at that 4-year cycle, you're just looking for that one last push to the upside before finally putting in a top and coming into a bear market. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of like, is this time actually different or not? I do think there is more of a legitimate argument in this cycle than there has been in the past cycles. But then again, even in the past cycles, it always seems reasonable until it's not, right? But I'm not going to cover that too much. But just to kind of show you guys like why this is so important, right? Like it doesn't scare me back here. It doesn't scare me back here. But when we look from a timing perspective of this cycle, right, we're getting into kind of where you would expect a top to come in. Every single top on Bitcoin has come in Q4, right? This Q4, This was Q4. all these tops have been in Q4, right? Even down here, right? Q4. We've talked about this a million times. Does that mean that we have to get the top to come in here at the same exact time? Not necessarily. But again, right, like you don't just want to completely ignore this stuff either. And at the end of the day, we do still have a little bit of time left in Q4. So, maybe this time fib is marking a pivot to the upside. Again, none of the indicators, none of the bearish divergence would be pointing in that direction. So again, I'm only here to give you the raw information on the charts. If there was something like, if we had like massive bullish divergences down here or something, like maybe I could call for that or at least bring up those signals on the chart. But to be honest, you have the massive bearish divergences, and just from a timing perspective, this is why coming down to that 50-week moving average right now is much more of a serious situation than it has been in the past, right? Like back here, it's just very clear that this is probably not the start of the bear market, right? It's like not very far after the halving. Even here, we still had some time left in the cycle for a new all-time high. So I just want to cover that, right? Because like this level like is going to be super, super important, and I said I would cover it. So if we did get back down there, I will say, you really got to hold this and not close weekly candle closures, right? Or not close the weekly candles underneath this level. $102,000, $101,000. That moving average is going to be moving over time. So maybe it moves up, as we approach it, or if we have to approach it. But it's a decision moment, right? Like as long as we stay above here, I would say it's okay, right? Like we're okay. Even here, like, oh my God, guys, we're back in. But as long as we close those weekly candles, we're good, right? And we see a new all-time high. Right, same thing here. Oh my God, that was super scary, and then we closed the weekly candle above. So it's the same thing. But once we get back down to this value area low, it's not just like this one level is like as soon as we break it, it's over. Right? It's like, well, as soon as we break it, we still have this last level, 50-week moving average, just perfectly confluent with those MPOCs. And then it's not even like once you lose it, right? It's like, what is the context there? Are you losing it on a lower time frame? How long are we spending down there? Does the weekly candle close down there? And that's just like, it is a critical moment, right? Like once we get down there, I'm not just going to be like, oh my God, bear market over. It's definitely going to be like, oh my God, guys, this looks a little bit scary. But that weekly candle closure is really going to be the thing that I don't want to see. And typically, right, like I think there have been a couple of times where we have seen the weekly candle closure below. This one, the last time we lost it here, that signaled the bear market. It was these two weekly candles that closed below. We got back above and then came back down. So, multiple weekly candle closures could be the thing as well. And let me actually just pull that back up real quick. 50 a week. Why do I keep doing that, guys? And again, guys, I never like to just look to the downside, but again, it's like I'm just here bringing the raw information, and I just don't want to give like pointless hopium. I even covered the bullish case yesterday, right? But it's like, is my base case going to be expecting something totally different? Never, right? But if it winds up being like that, if they want, maybe we get the pullback, and then something completely different happens in 2026. But I can't predict that, right? I wish I could. But wick down below, no closures, no closures, no closures. And then it was here, like we wicked, we closed. And even at that point, right, like even here, you got two candle closures. So it's never going to be 100%, that's going to be the moment to pay attention, right? I wouldn't like 2 weekly. This is an example where you had 2 weekly candle closures. This was kind of like half in, half out. And then you got another bounce to the upside. But then here you close 2 full candles, right? Or you close 3 full candles and then you get the drop down. So, multiple, you could just see those, the wicks are no problem, right? Like the little short stops down there are no big deal. It's really when you start hanging out down there on those high time frames that it really winds up not being very good. And at that point, any bounce to the upside, I would have to assume if we do wind up losing that 50-week moving average, I would have to assume, right, money flow is coming out. And then at that point, right, you're below the 50-week, depending on where that winds up lying. When you get those retracements in, if that's on declining money flow on those higher time frames, it's a very bearish situation. So we're not there, right? It wouldn't be until we get down there and start losing those levels that I would really become concerned. But until then, right, $108,000 is the level to remain above. So with that being said, let's jump back down to those lower time frames, and I'll give you guys some of these local levels that I'll be looking at if we do get that continuation down. Let me just go ahead and hide this stuff. Bada boom. Bada bing. So $108,000, still the biggest key level. Even there, right, we hung down a little bit, got back above, pushed to the upside. Talk about like being on the edge, guys. Like Bitcoin's like walking on the edge and it's like slipping and trying to grab itself. It's like, oh God, oh my God. It's very sketchy. But if we do get that continuation down, I am just going to be looking at these simple Fibonacci retracements, and you can pull a couple of them. I'm just going to pull the full here from the low to the high. This does come down into about, let me pull up the numbers here, $109,968 all the way down to $108,865. This would be, in my opinion, right, once you start losing this, And again, right, like you could potentially incorporate that value area high underneath it. But once you lose that 786, right, well, you're back down at that extremely key level, right? You wind up losing that. It's like, well, let's go take these lows. And then, of course, we do have some lower levels as well. But this would be like the most local, closest key level of support, sitting, again, between 109,985 and 108,875. We'll see if we can get that push down there. And then, some of the more local fibs, one of the ones I was looking at here with the premium Discord was pulled from right here, right? We're already tapping into that golden pocket. Brings this up just a little bit. Again, I always put a little bit more weight on that full Fibonacci retracement. But again, there's no guarantee you get down there. This sits a little bit closer to 110,239 to 109,152. But I'm just going to keep this on the full retracement for now, just because that is going to be the bigger level in my opinion. Now, when we look at the lower time frame money flow here, guys, taking a look at the 10-minute, right? 10 minutes starting to cross over into the red. 15 minutes starting to come out here as well, pretty aggressively. 24-minute just in the red, 30-minute in the red, 45-minute trying to come up. But this money flow coming up is not confluent with a 12-hour green dot, so there's no super bullish setup there. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I say lower time frame money flow is coming out. That could potentially push us back down into these levels. But at the end of the day, right, like this is the next key level of support. And then if we lose that 786, I mean, you're just playing with that super, 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 super important level of support. So we'll see if we get that push down there. And then if I do take off this macro range, and I will just pull up pull some of these other fibs. I'm going to pull the anchored VWAP from the low here. Yeah, you have the anchored VWAP from the bottom here coming in on that level as well. Like literally perfect confluence with that 786 as of right now. So you have 3 levels of confluence in there. And then I will also pull our full Fibonacci retracement from the low to the high. Where does this come in at? I'm just trying to find confluence here, guys. Yeah, you don't have confluence on the full fib, but of course, this is, at this point, it's like, if we come down there, pull up that macro range. Whoops. Hide this, right? Yeah, if we come down there, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's really, I mean, it's more of a zone than anything, right? It's like, of course, you're not always going to look at that as a exact dollar level. Like, you have to bounce off at exactly $108,025. You can see here we slip down below it, but eventually you hold the zone, you flip it, you come back up. So you got a lot of levels to look at down here, and it's like just super, super choppy, to be quite honest. But like from a high time frame perspective, which is kind of what I want to focus on here, is losing that $108,000 level. Like unless you break that back down below here, like you're still going to need massive bounces off these Fibonacci retracements to get back above all that resistance, right? Like I just really prefer not to break back down here. If we come down there, right, if we come back down to there tomorrow, I'll drop a market update and keep you guys updated. But this for right now is going to be the next big key level. And even if you pull it from this little wick we looked at in the premium before, right, you still have that 786 a little bit lower as well. So I'll actually set an alert here in case we start falling through this fib zone. But we'll see what happens. Plain and simple here, guys. We are getting the resistance from the Golden Pocket 786. Got to get back inside this range. $112,000 is the level to reclaim. 4-hour money flow doesn't look too bad. But, of course, we don't have the crossover into the green yet, right? We're hoping that this can eventually get the crossover into the green to continue our overall uptrend, right? So even pushing down deeper into this zone could still put in a higher low and a higher high. So that's what I'll be looking at. And I'll keep you guys updated here as the price action develops. Daily time frame, VWAP, nothing to really take away from there. 12 and 16 hour, not much. 4-hour VWAP, looking for the potential red dot here. So we'll see what happens, right? We tapped resistance. We got the low time frame money flow coming out. 15-minute about to cross over into the red. So we get that next 4-hour red dot. It's all eyes on this 15-minute money flow. As we all know, when you get that 4-hour red dot with the 15-minute money flow crossing into the red at the same time, which looks like, I mean, there's your money flow approaching the 0 line. There's your 4-hour VWAP approaching the 0 line as well. This happens if the 15-minute money flow crosses into the red at the same time as that 4-hour red dot. This 15-minute money flow is what I would look for that continuation to the downside. And again, like I would say, really losing this 786, whether you're looking at this one or the full fib from the low, it's like you lose the anchored VWAP. At that point, it's like if you can't get the quick reclaim of those levels for a bigger move up, because again, just like back down here, the 786 that we were looking for the bounce off of, let me get rid of this one. Right, this 786, of course, it's never an exact level. Support and resistance is never an exact level. Come on, give me that low. Give me the high, right? This 786, you slip it a little bit, but you get back on top of it, and you look at it from like a higher time frame perspective. It's like, okay, cool. You just wick down below, and you're still generally holding that zone. It's the same thing right here. If we wind up getting the move down, it's like I'd be okay with this. I'd be okay with wicks and closures back above on the 4 hour, and that would just generally tell me that, hey, you're holding that zone overall. But, once you wind up losing that level, you're back down below the anchored VWAP. You're back down below the 786 and, potentially the value area high. So just like a major support, 108,000, right? You do not want to lose that level. I know I've been saying it every single day 100 times, but it's super important. So let me come on into the chat. I feel like I've been neglecting you guys as we just jump right on into the charts here. Let's see. Yo, shout out to X82H. Says, with all that tech blackout yesterday, somehow Coinbase gave me a double withdrawal. The heck? You just got you withdrew your money and the money was just still in Coinbase and you withdrew it again? I don't know if that's possible. Shout out to X8. But let's see here. Do you think this cycle should take longer than the last? Only reason I say that is because the first cycle was 367 days, second cycle 526, third cycle 548. Each cycle is taking longer to reach the high. What do you think, bro? Shout out to Connor. Great question, bro. And I agree with you because I've observed the exact same thing. It's not. Is it plausible? Absolutely, right? Like if you're just looking at history, seeing how things have played out, I think it does make a little bit of sense. But again, let me just pull up the cycle chart here. My general thought process is, I've said this, even if, right, like in my opinion, right, there's kind of two situations, or I should say three situations. Situation number one is the least desirable, which is that the top is already in, right? Do we have things to point towards that? And this is where things get really hard because I truly do believe that I would say this. If you're not going to entertain the fact that the cycle is going to extend, there are more bearish puzzle pieces than bullish puzzle pieces. Where towards the end of the cycle, or what we would think is going to be near the end of the cycle, and again, it's never just going to be an exact day here. We had the Fibonacci, we had the time fib here at about October 20th. We hit that yesterday. Doesn't mean that this is this is where the top is. It's always a zone, right? Just like at support and resistance is never an exact level. These time fibs are going to be an estimation, right? And again, when you look at this as, just generally tops coming in Q4, it makes a lot of sense, right? And then on top of that, you have the weekly bearish divergences, right? They have multiple weekly bearish divergences, 2-week bearish divergences, monthly bearish divergences, and now you even have your 2-month bearish divergence printing here as well, right? You have the higher highs on your price action, lower highs on your momentum waves, red dot is printing. So you have a lot of those things that popped up in 2021 that were able to mark the top. There's the 2-month bearish divergence, which is basically cycle peak to cycle peak with your momentum waves making lower highs, cycle peak to current cycle peak, lower highs. There's your red dot. But I can't totally ignore the fact that, in 2026 at some point, now this doesn't even necessarily mean that you're not going to get a drop into some kind of a bear market before this, but, it would be silly for me not to entertain the fact that, if the Fed does end up printing money, maybe this is after a big drop, maybe. I'm going to have to take my face off the camera here because I am frozen. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful freeze frame there, guys. Let me just take myself off the screen. It would be silly for me not to entertain the fact that, if the money printer, if they start printing money aggressively, right, like this is very likely going to cause some kind of a melt up, right? And, back to what I was saying in the beginning of the stream, every time we talk about the 4-year cycle, I always talk about how Bitcoin follows the traditional markets, right? Like we have the halving cycle. It makes sense. I'm not saying the halving is not important, but it is not really the thing that moves price, right? Like to me, you overlay, to me, if you just overlay the SPY on top of the Bitcoin price action, we did this yesterday, right? It's like, it's essentially just mirrors the S&P, right? Big drop, big rip, bull market, right? S&P bull market, Bitcoin bull market, S&P bear market, Bitcoin bear market, accumulation, come on out of the bear market for a big rip up into a new bull market, and the S&P is doing the same thing, or I should say Bitcoin's doing the same thing as the S&P. And, if they did print money, if that happens, that is your argument for the cycle to extend. We've never seen that happen. But again, if they print money and it causes a melt up, I have to say that Bitcoin is going to follow. It's not my base case, but that's kind of your hope, right? If you want this to extend, right? You're hoping they print money, and this time is totally different. But again, just like totally, if you're one of those people that's like, no, this time's not different, they're wrong every single time, and maybe they're right this time. I broken clock is right twice a day. And I don't even say that in a derogatory way. It's just true. Like, eventually, this time is different. People are going to be right? And I would argue that in this specific situation, we do have some things that are a little bit different, right? There's almost, if you look at it through the lens of a traditional 4-year cycle, it's not looking great, right? It's just like either the top is in, right? And so if you're totally negating the this time is different situation, you're either saying to yourself, right, you would have to kind of, based off what you're basing your information off of, you would be forced to say either the top is in, right, Q4, towards the end of the cycle, or if the top isn't in, we're just coming up for one last rip to the upside, because there is obviously, we talked about this the other day, I think it's like the pi. I don't really pay much attention to this stuff, but like the pi cycle top indicator, I think it's the MVRV Z score, has not triggered. These are like really common things that people look at to point to the top of the bear market or top of the bull market. Those have not flashed yet. But again, it's like, I don't know, like, do they have to? I don't know. Like, I probably not, right? Like, there's nothing about those indicators that just means that, you have to. If it was that easy, right, you would just buy Bitcoin, wait for that indicator to trigger, and then you'd sell, right? So it's never really that simple, in my opinion. But, those have not triggered. And, but even if, right, again, negating the fact that maybe the cycle is not going to extend, if you just ignore that whole thought process, you're either saying the top is in, or you're going out for that one last parabola to the upside to eventually form a top somewhere in Q4 before seeing a rollover into a bear market. So that's like the three situations. I wish I could just tell you which one is definitely going to happen. I just don't know. There's like an argument to be made for both sides. The only reason I kind of lean on the charts, and which would also be the traditional 4-year cycle technically, is just because this is the information I can actually see. I know these bearish divergences are here. I know price action is coming up with momentum leaving. I could see this stuff. I know that this is as long as it's taken for any cycle to go from the halving to the top, right? We're getting into those exact days. I think we are, maybe today is that day. Let me see here. Oops, let's pull this over here. So this is, no, I think it's 545 days. So yeah, 545 days, which technically would be like right here. I mean, we're right there, guys. Tomorrow. I think tomorrow is going to be the day where it's the longest it's ever been. Oh boy. What is that? I forgot what that alert was. All right, there we go. Continuation to the downside. All right, beautiful. Not beautiful, but just nice that, TA is TAing here. So there we go. Getting the push down there. I'll set another alert in case we keep cooking. And we're back to it. So yeah, like, I mean, when you just look at this, it's like, I know that this is true, right? I know the bearish divergences are there. I know what has happened in the past. So it's just really hard for me to make this time is different my base case, but it doesn't mean I totally write it off completely. So, we're just going to have to like keep an eye on it as the information develops, as we see the FOMC meetings, as we hear, when they might start printing more money. So there you go. I wish I had an easier answer for you. And, I oftentimes lean on the more conservative side, right? But I pray, guys. I never come up here rooting prices going down. Like, I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, even if I said to myself, it's impossible for the cycle to extend, this is the top, and I was just super emotional about that call, like, I am happy to be wrong about that, right? Like, trust me, I hold a lot of Bitcoin, I hold a lot of Ethereum, I hold a lot of Solana, I hold a lot of XRP. Like, I hope that's wrong. I am totally happy being wrong about that. You'll never see me come up here and just stick to my guns because I have an ego. It'll never happen, right? Like, trading had killed my ego a long time ago. So it's, I can only read what we have here on the charts. So that's my thought process. That's what I'm looking at. And again, the big thing to look at is that 50-week moving average down towards $102,000. So we'll see how it develops over time. We're going to take a look at some of the altcoins now. We'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance. I'll give you my 2 cents on that. Let's see. Shout out to KG Lay. I don't know how to say your name, brother, but he says short. Let's go. Shout out to KG Lay. Shout out to Tom, said, Frankie, do you like the smaller value area of the price action on the consolidation before the all-time high range? Trying to think of what you're looking at here. This range right here, I think, is what you're talking about. Funny enough, I do have, if this is what you're talking about, I do actually have this marked off as a range. Where is it? There it is, right? So, yeah, you can see this is a value area that we had looked at. I mean, this was all the way back. We looked at this all the way back here when we thought maybe we were going to break down below that macro value area high. We wound up getting the hold on 112K. But again, it was like, hey, guys, if we get down here, super, super important level to hold. We come into it. We get the bounce, right? I haven't showed this range in a really long time. And then even on that big liquidation wick and the last drop down that we had, right, like this is really that big bear market level, right? That level that if lost, shout out to anybody who's been watching the show long enough to remember this. I mean, it's not that it's been that long. If you were here back in August, you will be familiar with this range, right? It's like there's your first major level of support. I have no problems with this for a new all-time high. We wound up getting it. But really, this is that last bear market level. And you guys can just see, as long as it has taken us to get down there, you can just see how important of support this is, right? That big liquidation wick wound up getting, some kind of support there. And then even on the second drop down, where we get the bounce off of the value area low of that previous range. So, you could even look at this range potentially, right? You get stuck back in here, get back down below the value, the POC of the range. Well, where is this golden pocket POC sitting? It's right on that $108,000 macro value area high. Get rid of this position, right? Macro value area high, gold, it's in that same zone. Once you start losing this, you're at that critical level that you have to bounce off of, because if you can't, there we go, continuing to cook to the downside. If you get stuck underneath here, it's not good. Remember that the 50-week moving average is right in here, right? So if we do get back down here, you want to see some kind of like short-term drop below it if you have to go below, and then you want to reclaim. And again, you really got to start getting that big pump to the upside in a very aggressive manner. And speak of the devil, right? We're talking about the level, and now it's tapped. The 100% a valid place to look, right? You have the 786, you have the value area low, and again, that 50-week moving average is sitting right in there as well. Let me see if I can pull up that. Was it this one? Bear with me. Boom, 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 boom. No, that's not it, man. There was one that let me see it on other time frames, so I don't have to be on the weekly for it. I'm gonna go for one more shot here, guys. All right, third time's a charm. Just tried that one. Let's try this one. This might be it. Bear with me, guys. Daily, weekly. There it is. Beautiful. All right, so that is the, let me make this nice and bright. So we know it's there. Okay, so there's that 50-week moving average, right? And I'll even hide these anchored VWAPs so it doesn't get super confusing. So yeah, I mean, there's that 50-week. I mean, if we had to come back down here, right? Like, oh my God, scary, scary level. Get below it, right? Like, you really want to hold on top of this 50-week. So it's really getting sketchy, guys. It's getting sketchy. Sitting at $109,000 right now, right? So we're even right now getting pretty close to that level. So actually, not a bad volume profile to keep an eye on. Value area high sitting at $110,000, POC sitting at 107.5, and then your value area low sits down here at 104.7K. So we'll see what happens here. Shout out to Vegas Claw, said, "Yup, bear with you." Shout out to Vegas Claw. Shout out to One With Nature, said, "Where's the up-only poll?" What's the poll today? FOMC is a week away. What will happen with Bitcoin this week? One more shakeout before the moon, 51%. That is the winner here, and definitely my preferred scenario, guys. Honestly, my preferred scenario here, guys, is that the 4-year cycle, regardless of if it's actually the halving that does it or it's just like the macro liquidity and business cycle that makes this happen. My preference here, guys, is simply that we see one more new all-time. Now, my preferred scenario is not the highest likelihood, right? It's just what I prefer. Let's get one more all-time high, have an exciting Q4, top out, go into a traditional bear market, and then, just have the 4-year cycle somewhat intact. Because I was actually thinking about this earlier today. If we do wind up doing something like super different, right? Let's say maybe we come down from here, we wind up bleeding out into 2026, and then eventually we get the money printer to scam us back up. Like this would, or even if we just kind of like went sideways or, made a new all-time high. And then if we see the cycle change drastically, guys, it's going to take a lot away from what a lot of people look to anticipate this market and, stay at least on the right side of like bear market, bull market. It's just going to totally change everything. So I honestly kind of hope that the market just stays the same, right? Because it just makes it a lot easier to kind of go with the 4-year cycle. But I think at the end of the day, there is at some point that's going to change. There's just no way around that, right? Um, Shout out to Ham said, bro, you're fire. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you for being here. All-time high prediction. Shout out to Giga Nick. Shout out to you, bro. All-time high prediction for Bitcoin. Potentially $126,000. I'm just kidding. It's not me calling the top, guys. Again, like, I know my content style is a little bit different than not everybody, but a lot of people, right? Like, a lot of people just like to talk about the bullish case, up only, altcoins will pump. I'm more bullish on altcoins than ever, alt season incoming, right? But like, I just take a very data-based, price action, chart-based approach to trading and investing, right? And this has served me very well over time because, like, you know, everybody just hoping for up only. It's like those are the people who get caught off sides, and unfortunately, people who listen to that get caught off sides as well. I just can't do that in good faith. You know, like, I just can't ignore these bearish divergences, and you know, I always say this. If I saw massive bullish divergences with money flow coming up aggressively like we did here, right, which was obviously on a lower time frame, like the where are we at? The daily, right? It's like there's your daily bullish divergences into the 50-week moving average, and then you get the bull divs with the money flow coming up. Like, that looks good for a massive push to the upside. This is not necessarily what you want to see for massive moves to the upside. Even on the monthly, right? It's like, you want green dots. You want your momentum waves curving up. This is just not what you want to see. Now, does that mean you can't get a move up? No, anything can happen. But like, there's just nothing to call for here saying like, oh my God, the bottom is in 100%. Let's go to new all-time highs. Even if we see the more bullish out where we get back above $112,000 and we're able to see a push into the macro POC, which, by the way, if you guys have never watched a live stream ever before, is sitting at 117 to 118.3. I've talked about that level so much, it feels like a meme at this point. But even if we got up here, right, like, that's just not necessarily out of the woods. I've been talking about if we're going to see a new all-time high on Bitcoin at this point, right, like, we just kind of got to see it, right? We got to break, because the biggest level up here is the 786 at $121,000. It's not until we crack that level where I could confidently say, like, if we get above that and hold, then we can look for a new all-time high. So essentially, if we're going to see another new all-time high coming on Bitcoin, which, again, is possible if we could stay above $108,000 to $107,000, it's kind of just got to happen. There's nothing on the chart here that tells me, right, again, and just bringing you back into hindsight to show you what it would look like if I could call for that, right? Here's your bullish divergences. Lower lows on your price action, higher lows on your momentum waves with money flow crossing into the green, right? At that point, you break down out of this macro trend line. The high time frame trend is likely to continue to the upside, and that's where we look for new all-time highs, and we get it, right? But, like, do we have the massive daily bullish divergence after a big red wave looking for money flow to cross back into the green? No, we just don't have that, right? Like, I would call for it if we had it. And a lot of people would probably be super bearish and be like, oh my God, this guy's an idiot, right? Because usually I have to be a contrarian, right? Because more often than not, most people want it to go in one direction. What does the market do? It goes against the masses most of the time. Not 100% of the time. The masses are right sometimes. But, you know, it's just like, if I had that, you know, or even if there was like a hidden bullish divergence, I would call for that. We just don't have it, right? Like, sure, money flow is trying to come up here, but again, look at your money flow in this case. It's red, green, red, green, red, right? Maybe if you come into the green, it's just super choppy. Back here, it was much cleaner. You had a massive drop to the downside, big red wave with a smooth trend to the upside. And with where you are in the cycle, it's much more higher probability that you could still have time to put in new all-time highs. That's why I call for that so high, you know, so confidently, right? But here, I just don't have it. We're at the end of the cycle, and the signals are just not there. As a matter of fact, what do we have? We have bearish divergences. It's not what you want to see for a massive move up. Doesn't mean you can't get it. It just means the charts aren't pointing towards it. And again, I don't care if the charts are wrong. As a matter of fact, I pray the charts are wrong for the long-term health of this cycle. And this is not me calling the all-time high, right? I'm just saying, like, it's not impossible that the top is in here. But I won't be able to know that for sure, right? Or I won't, not even for sure. But, like, I won't be able to know that more confidently until we wind up closing weekly candles below that 50-week moving average, which, again, is sitting right here. So that's why I say that $108,000 level, we break that back down below it. Like, this is the level you must hold, right? Maybe that's where we put in the daily bullish divergence with money flow coming up, right? Maybe we bing bong around, this money flow comes into a nice big red wave, and then we start curving into the green, and your momentum wave gives you a nice higher low, and we put the daily bull divs into here, and then it looks good from our outside. But I can't call that until we get down there. So just gotta let it develop. Super choppy, super tense, and I know it's hard out there, guys. I know it's rough. I know everybody's wondering about their altcoins. People tell me, Frankie, when is my alt gonna pump? When are my bags gonna pump? At the end of the day, when it comes to Bitcoin dominance, guys, Let's pull it up on the alt chart. I'll start jumping into some of the altcoin stuff here. Bitcoin dominance, guys. Like, when can we see alt season, right? Like, timing is very hard to call. At this point, right, daily money flow is coming into the green. Green dot is printing. We looked at this yesterday, and as a matter of fact, we looked at it all the way down here, where we were looking for a move up on dominance. Why? We had lower lows on our price action or dominance action, and then we had our higher lows on the momentum waves with money flow trending up. This is usually a sign that you have put in some kind of a bottom and you are ready to trend back to the upside. And we have seen this big wick, the two big levels of resistance that we've been looking at, are sitting right here between about 60 and 61.5%. And then the second level is sitting right up here between 64.24 and 62.64%. We've already wicked into both of these levels, started closing our candles down here. But the question is, are you going to fill the wick, or are you just going to, is this where you settled and this is the lower high? I would say with this money flow crossing up, it's not impossible to have this money flow continue trekking into the value area high. And at this point, once you get above this value area low, right, this is kind of how I was able to avoid the bad altcoin season call right here. In February, a lot of people were calling for alt season, but we did not see that. Money flow was in the green. We flipped that value area low to support. The next likely place for price or dominance to go in this case is the point of control. Avoiding that bad call, right? Like, there's nothing about February that means altcoins pump, right? Altcoins don't know it's February. And if we're in a different situation, even if it had happened in the past, right? Like, if we're in a different situation here, you can't just look for history to repeat for no reason. Maybe if you see similar things happening, you can look for it to repeat. But here, I don't know why anyone would be looking for this dominance to drop. And if you actually look at this, right? What happened here? Daily money flow crossed into the green, right? You didn't have the daily bullish divergence, but money flow crosses green on the daily. You do get that trend to the upside, massive wick into the POC, and eventually you do go up to fill that wick before finally coming back down. So are we going to fill the wick? I mean, daily money flow is coming up. I don't know how high this is going to go, right? If it does continue up, money flow is pointing in that direction. Maybe you come back up to test the 786, get the rejection. If not, maybe you go to fill this wick into the golden pocket 786. If we don't reject here, guys, it's not looking good for altcoins, right? And I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen up here. I can't guarantee a rejection here. I can't guarantee a rejection here. I can look at the high time frame money flow and say, hey, money flow's coming out. Maybe this is where we'll get these are the high probability areas to get the rejection for sure, just like this was, which was a beautiful call to see the altcoins pump in Q4 of last year. But I can't guarantee when these are going to get hit, if they're going to get rejected, but I could just say these are the higher probabilities we're going to see this high time frame money flow continue out, indicating the trend is continuing weak over the long term. But that could mean that you have to endure these moves up into this level and potentially this level, right? And then again, this is not guaranteed. I would hope so, right? Maybe you see that last blow off top on Bitcoin. Like, if you get Bitcoin to make a new all-time high in this cycle and the top is not in, then we could potentially see a new all-time high on Bitcoin and start talking about, maybe dominance rises, we get a new all-time high on Bitcoin, maybe, and then, at that point, we reassess the situation and see if we have bearish confirmations here for a bigger drop down. Maybe at that point, your low time frames like the daily have come into a big green wave, and it's about to cross into the red with bearish signs. That could indicate a pullback. But I can't call when this is going to happen or if it's guaranteed. This is just what I would look for, and more often than not, we are right. We looked right here at a golden pocket retracement on that value area low for a rejection. We got it. But when this happens, if it's guaranteed, I can't say, right? I wish I could, right? Like, I know everybody would want to hear that. I know we'd get more likes if I said it's guaranteed. And to be honest, I don't think many people even care if you're wrong. I think people just want to hear it's going up, and they don't even care if you're wrong. And then eventually when you're right, they'll be like, we knew we were going to make it. But, I just take a real approach here. And, not only do you have the money flow coming up, potentially pointing towards the continuation up here, but get above this value area low. Like, where's the next likely place for price to go? You could get sucked up towards that wick and POC. So we'll keep an eye on it, right? I would still say high time frame, like my sentiment pretty much remains the same. 2-day money flow in the red, 3-day money flow in the red, 4-day money flow coming out, right? Looking for a red dot. So long term, it does still potentially look weak. I just don't know how long it's going to take to get up here or if we're going to get the rejection. I'll have a better idea once we actually come up and interact with these levels, right? If we get up here and it looks bearish, we could say, well, hey, this actually looks good for a nice rejection, right? And then maybe that's where you see alt season. At the end of the day, alt season happens when this plummets. I just don't know when exactly that's going to happen. And I think a lot of people are just hoping that, like, a lot of people might think that alt season is guaranteed, And, I hope it is, but I just don't know. There's no real reason that it has to be guaranteed, right? Maybe that's what we'll be saying about this time is different. Maybe alt season doesn't happen, but still high time frames look weak as far as money flow. But it doesn't mean, the market, any market, right, will move, or any asset, or, dominance in this case, it's going to move in waves, right? It's going to move in ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs, right? So that's why we try to get on the right side of the money flow to make sure that we are not caught off sides too hard. Okay, sorry. Bat phone was ringing, guys. So that's a little update on dominance. Again, same thing as yesterday. Money flow's coming up, could continue. And these are still the biggest levels to look at. So, again, we're just going to have to wait for this to develop. And, yeah, very likely if this pushes up, altcoins are, Bitcoin's going to outperform altcoins. So, going to be wild if no alt season. Yeah, shout out to Connor, man. Of course, I never root for this. I hold altcoins as well. But, yeah, that would be crazy. Maybe there is reason to look for it, right? Again, if they start printing money, maybe there's just a little more pain until we get it, right? Like maybe Bitcoin dominance comes up and then, I don't know, maybe they print money and then that creates the euphoria. We finally get it coming in the market. And, the other thing is, too, is like retail just has not been here pretty much the whole cycle. Like, if I'm just being totally honest with you guys, retail's nowhere to be seen in this cycle. And I think it has a lot to do with the performance of the altcoins. Only time I saw any kind of real retail interest was up here during the election when we finally got the altcoins to move. It's the only time. And it wasn't even real, like, true euphoria. It was just, like, kind of like the start of the retail interest. And then what happens? Massive move down. Nobody's interested anymore. And, like, just nobody really cares. And, I've talked a lot about the psychology of a top coming in. There's no real massive euphoria here. That would be a point for potentially another move up. But one thing I do see, I actually talked about this a couple days ago. One thing I do see is there's no euphoria, but it does seem that everybody's looking up, right? Which is interesting, right? It's not like everyone's just euphoric, like, oh my God, this thing's never going to stop going up. But people are still just kind of like holding on to those bullish cases, which again, I hope play out. But they're just kind of like holding on to all these bullish cases and kind of just ignoring the fact like that we're near where you would think the 4-year cycle ends. Like, I don't see a lot of people talking about the massive bearish signs we have on the chart. And it's kind of similar, right? It's not euphoria, but you have the crowd screaming, not that, oh my God, it's going up like crazy, we're never going to stop going up by the dip, but what they're saying is more like the bull market is about to start. Which, I mean, maybe for altcoins, but like, and who knows, right? Maybe it is a super cycle, we extend, and Bitcoin just kind of rips later into 2026. I don't know. Maybe get the money printing, the melt up situation. But, I will say, like, although we don't have the euphoria, we have a lot of people just like looking up for new all-time highs. So I hope it's the case. I hope it's the case. But as always, guys, I'll give you the raw information and I'll just let you know, right? When there's like a massive sign for all-time highs and, again, maybe if we get back in here, we can get above this POC, I'd start feeling a lot better about all-time highs. But even then, right, like we get up here, like I'm still on top watch. So we'll see what happens. And, of course, we'll be here every single weekday at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's see. One more shakeout before bigger prices. Get ready. Shout out to Soft Rugged. Shout out to you, bro. Let's go. I hope so. Let's send it up. Let's all buy at the same time. We could do it, guys. We could do it. Shout out to James Ager says, altcoins are a mugs game by Bitcoin. I'm not going to lie. I am obviously much more exposed to Bitcoin and the higher cap altcoins than I am on the low caps. And I am happy with how that's gone so far. Not that I'm a Bitcoin maxi by any means, but it just happens to be the way my portfolio is currently balanced. And, I mean, I've been pretty happy with that, right? Bought in at 20K. I'm up like almost 500% on my Bitcoin. All coins are still kind of down a little bit, maybe at break even. I have a couple that are still in the green. My XRP is up pretty big. But other than that, I am pretty okay with the way that my portfolio is balanced right now. Not that it wouldn't hurt for me to have no alt season, right? I'm still rooting for and hoping for alt season. But again, I want to have a reason to call for it, right? And, again, when I see daily money flow coming up, right? Like if I wanted Bitcoin dominance to dump from here, right? Doesn't mean that you can't still see the longer-term outlook play out, right? You have to separate the high time frames from the low time frames. This money flow is definitely coming out on the 4-day. On the 3-day, it is definitely crossing into the red. This indicates a high time frame trend change, which could mean lower high, lower low. But this is another, that's Bitcoin up towards 64%. That's like not going to be good on the ride up there for altcoins. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go to zero. But I guess if you look at their the alts against Bitcoin, maybe, but it doesn't. It might just mean that they just get outperformed by Bitcoin. But that could be a rough ride until we see that happen on the daily. If I were just saying, hey guys, we're going to dump from here, it's kind of hard for me to say that, right? Why? We have a fresh money flow crossover into the green, and it's cooking. It's cooking to the upside here. So it's, I would just have to say locally, you're just looking for a continuation up before hopefully getting the higher time frame rejection. So I'm not here to call for alt season or say alt season is never going to happen. I'm just here to give you the information on dominance and the key levels. And then when I can make a stronger call where I think that rejection is going to happen, hey, I'll be the first person to come up here and let you guys know. Let's see. Safest way, Frankie. Shout out to James. Absolutely. Safest way, obviously, you're not going to get the 20x's on your Bitcoin in one cycle like you would on maybe some altcoins. But of course, it comes with a trade-off, right? Let's see. It feels close. Yeah, I hope so. And to be honest, guys, like this market can change so fast. Who knows, right? You can wake up one day, we get some kind of crazy bullish black swan event, and like the thing just starts cooking to the upside. And at the end of the day, that's like kind of what we need, right? Because like I don't have the signs on the chart to call for a massive, it looks really good for a bounce from here. I think it looks good as long as you stay above $108,000 to pull up into your retracement levels, right? Not all-time highs. Hold above 108K, right? Like let's cook back into these retracement levels, but just like back here, and if you've been watching long enough, hopefully I've helped you kind of avoid these bad situations. Anytime we get these drops to the downside, oh my God, we got a drop. But what do we look at always? Golden Pocket 786. This is the level you have to break above to see new all-time highs. And yes, we did see new all-time highs, but what happens on the weekly time frame? On the weekly, you wind up closing your weekly candle below that Fibonacci retracement, which gives you a technical lower high, I guess you could call it, for a break of structure to the downside. So, and if we come back up there, it's a very similar situation, right? It's like if I had a reason to call for a massive rip into new all-time highs from here, I would have to have something like bullish divergences, the same stuff I just talked about that happened down here. Bullish divergences, money flow coming up. We just don't have that here. So if we do get a bounce from here, which again, 4-hour money flow looks okay. I know it might get kind of confusing. If we flip $112,000, 112K, get 4-hour money flow to come into the green, we could get a continuation up, right? But I'm not looking for that to just send us immediately into all-time highs. I have to be cautiously bullish to push into these retracement levels, because even if we come into that 117 to 118.3 zone, right, this is a level where you could put in a macro lower high for a macro lower low. And you could also do that at the 786 at 121K, lower high, lower low. Even if you fake out above, if you close that weekly candle down below, like we did here, it could be still the same thing, right? So it's really like things can change fast, and maybe that's what happens, right? Like maybe we don't need the sign and we get the bullish black swan and you just moon. That's what I would need to see. I just need to see the all-time highs at the end of the day. And I'm talking to the camera like you guys can see me. I still don't think you guys will be able to see me, and you can't. Let me see if I can try to fix this. Hang on one second, guys. Let me try to fix the camera real quick. I just break it more. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Oh, man. All right, let's see. Did we fix it? We did not fix it. All right, well, it's broken forever, guys. But anyway, luckily you guys can see the chart. So that's my thought process, right? Like, this is still a huge, huge, huge zone between 117,000 to 121,000. Got to break above that to see new all-time highs. So, yeah. I think that's all we got on Bitcoin, guys. So we'll keep an eye on this. Let's see. Yeah, we're just still kind of melting down here. Got the alert set. But I do want to take a look at Ethereum really quickly. Let's jump on in here. Ethereum with the correction as well. Let's put up on the 8 hours. So obviously coming down to our golden pocket that we looked back here on Friday. Still getting the bounce, right? Instant up, instant down. Look at these candles, guys. This is ridiculous. Talk about shop. But, yeah, look at that wick, man. So, yeah, key levels of support on Ethereum, in my opinion, at this point. Technically, you still have the untapped 786 down here. So I'm just going to leave this whole zone between the golden pocket 786. If we do continue down, right, You're hoping to hold that 786. If you can't hold the 786, the next level, luckily, you do have underneath you is the value area high. The not so lucky thing about this is a major, major, major level of support. Just like on Bitcoin, you don't want to break below the macro value area high. It's the same thing here. If we wind up breaking down below this without a quick, like, honestly, liquidity sweep for a massive bounce out, if we get stuck in here, I'm going to be looking down closer to about $3,200 to $3,100. So I don't want to spend too much time here on ETH. Your 12-hour green dot is attempting to print here. Daily red dot looking to come in. 16-hour red dot looking to come in. Let's check the 4-hour real quick. 4-hour red dot printing. Is that a blood diamond? It is a blood diamond. Nice. And by nice, I'm being sarcastic. Yikes. Not yikes. It's a 4-hour blood diamond, but it's definitely not a bullish sign. So yeah, I'd say the next key level, Golden Pocket 786, 3766 to 3616, and then that value area high is sitting at 3530. Massive, massive level of support. And then your daily money flow is still in the red, right? Look at this money flow. It was trying to come up yesterday. If this VWAP prints that red dot, this money flow could easily come into a red wave. So we still have to be careful there. And again, why are we careful about this? Money flow crosses into the red. Why were we even careful around this value area low golden pocket? Why do we even have this level on the chart? Why is it marked out in purple? Because it's your first area to look for a potential lower high before you could see a potential lower low come in. And we got the low, we had the high, the low, the lower high. And we're trying to hold the higher low, but if we don't hold this, this money flow could be pointing towards the continuation of that trend. Money flow still looks kind of on the daily. I want to see this come back more aggressively, and even locally, you're starting to get the push to the downside here with that VWAP rolling over. So we'll see what happens. But those are the key levels that I'd be looking at. Once you lose 3530 with the anchored VWAP value area high, I'll be looking down to this golden pocket between 3,200 and 3,100, which is also confluent, which I believe, yes, this is the 50-week moving average. So same level on Bitcoin is very similar to the level on Ethereum, right? So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Jesse, said, or OBS is having issues. I've heard more people having issues. Shout out to Jesse. It does seem that was my thought. I think OBS might be the problem. It does seem anytime I have trouble with the computer, it is always when OBS is open, which is annoying because I actually like OBS, and I hope I don't have to change to something different. Shout out to James, says, alts probably won't rally until Bitcoin dominance is below 57%. Yeah, it's a plausible thought. I would agree with that. Because again, Bumpet said, Frankie, you got to stop this whole you can't see me. You're making things dump. I got to bring my face. Should I just keep my my ugly screenshot here? Oh, we're live. Hey, guys. This feels like a repeat of yesterday's stream. Frankie Candle's here. Let's start sending this thing back to the upside. I'm back, Bitcoin. I'm back. You thought I was gone, but I was watching you the whole time. So there we go. All right. Please do not super chat your altcoins. But if you guys want to drop some altcoins in the chat, I'll go through a couple of the altcoins. We'll see what you guys want to see. Yo, Powell. Jerome Powell's crashing the OBS servers. But while you guys are dropping the altcoins in the chat, let's see if I think Tony dropped this promo. So like I said, guys, partnering with WeX here, really liking their exchange. But they do have this welcome bonus. Tony, do we know how many spots there are for this? Is it unlimited? Let me know. But yeah, if you guys want to get the welcome bonus here, they have, bind your phone and email, get $10 to $100 coupon. And then you get a deposit bonus. The thing here, though, you have to keep you have to maintain the balance. Tony was telling me they do this to stop people from just like cheating the system and trying to farm bonuses. But it is a nice value there. And usually there's like 50 spots on these. Maybe it's 100. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Tony knows. But get in there if you guys are looking for a new exchange. Super fast, super simple. It hasn't given me any problems since I've used it. So go check them out. And if the 2-day has a green dot and multiple lower time frames like the 8-hour, 2-hour, 45-minute, etc. have red dots, can this be interpreted as a small dip before a bigger pump? If the 2-day green dot, yeah, shout out to Khalil. I would say the thought process there is correct, right? Like your higher time frame green dot is looking to print, but the higher time frame, we say red dots or Yeah. Of course. That's how you would view it, right? A 2-day green dot is going to be a much more significant higher time frame signal than like a 4-hour red dot or an 8-hour red dot. So absolutely, right? You would see like the lower time frame red dots would print. You get that little spill to the downside, but that could be looked at as a little bit of a correction before finally getting that green dot to continue to the upside. So for example, like on the 4-hour time frame, like I'll just go back to Bitcoin real quick. Right, you get let's just say you get there's the 4-hour red dot printing. So you get this 4-hour red dot, but again, it's always going to be about money flow. And now, could this money flow fake back out into the red? Of course, right? You need to see this crossover into the green to see that continuation up. And of course, you're going to be using the trend of the money flow to try to front run that. But of course, if you're front running it, you do risk the possibility of just getting the fake out. But of course, trading's a risky game. You have to take those risks at some point. But the beautiful thing about risk is you can manage it with your stop losses. Hopefully you're doing that. But like if you get this 4-hour red dot, it could be looked at as a pullback before a potential higher low and higher high. It's not exactly what I look at with like red dots and green dots. I more look at money flow coming up with high time frame red. Like if I see a 4-hour red dot, red dot can give you an ebb or flow down. Money flow would indicate the overall trend. But hopefully that helps you out, Kalia. Let's see. Shout out to Brandon. Said, WeX is solid. Only exchange I've used in the past year. Shout out to Brandon. I would agree. I haven't used it for a year yet, but I've been using it for about a month, and I've had zero issues. Let's see. Shout out to James. Said, nice one, Frankie. Stay patient, guys. Tricky times. Great day, all. Yeah, shout out to James. Absolutely. It is definitely, you guys are probably feeling it, right? And I could even feel it, like, just from, chat. I could feel it from social media, right? Like, people are getting really, really tense here. It's like, Bears versus Bulls. Like, I love it, right? Like, the Bears are always fighting the Bulls. The Bulls are always fighting the Bears. And I'm just sitting here. It's like, I'll make money if it goes up or down. It's like you just step back and just watch the dog pile happen, and you're just, like, grabbing money while everybody just fights over their emotional bias. I don't have an emotional bias ever. As a matter of fact, like I said, my technical bias here is definitely be careful, right? It's a very difficult situation, but we do have all these bearish signs. I pray that I'm wrong, right? I might be one of the only people that hope I'm wrong. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Bilal. Said, stupid golf course fleeced me, man. Shout out to Bilal. What, you got shaken down at the golf course? Like a bunch of CEOs come up to you and rob you? What happened? Shout out to Bilal. Let us know what happened there, bro. Yeah, the crypto roller coaster is extra bumpy lately. Yes, absolutely. Wait for the Fed meeting and then choose. Yeah, shout out to Jennifer. We'll see what they say at the Fed meeting, right? My guess is Powell will probably just say a whole lot of nothing like he usually does. He'll be like, data points, inflation, rates. Hopefully he says Bitcoin. Someone needs to just ask him, hey, is Bitcoin, are you going to pump Bitcoin or what? But nobody has the cojones. I got to get in there. How can we get into a Fed meeting? Do you need to be like official press? I might have some old press passes from my past life I might be able to use. That should be a YouTube video. We should do like a Frankie Candles sneaks into a Fed meeting, and I'm just sitting there in like a suit and a Frankie Candles hat, look like a little kid in a suit. I'm just like, yes, Trapal, yeah, I was just wondering on risk on assets, like, I don't know, like the crypto markets and stuff. They're like, I don't answer direct questions about markets. Listening to Powell is like listening to a dot matrix printer for half an hour. It's kind of brutal, guys. I'm not going to lie. Every time we stream the Fed meeting, if there's crazy price action, we're having fun on the charts. If there's not, I'm just like falling asleep. All right, let's continue on here. Sneak into Bohemian Grove. What do you mean? I'm invited to Bohemian Grove every year. I'm just kidding. It's a joke, guys. They do sacrifice goats. You would never find me in a place. I'll break into Bohemian Grove and save the goats. Because you guys know I love my goats. And I would never let Phoebe go anywhere near the elite. But anyway, it's okay, Phoebe. I'll protect you. But let's continue on here. All right, so let me just scroll up here. Sui Ando Frankie thawed. I was frozen before, now I'm thawed out. Ondo and OP. Take a look at Cardano, Pengu. Let's take a quick look at Pengu. I haven't looked at Pengu in a minute. All right. Ah, man, these wicks are so annoying because it's like I can't double-click the scale here to resize my chart. All right, I mean, you are. Let me just get this context here. Sheesh. Oh, man. All right, well, good news, you're still above your golden pocket, right? Like, this was the major level of support before we saw that huge liquidation wick on Friday. I guess on Friday we were kind of hanging out up here. You had local levels of support here, which clearly got extremely just totally melted through on that liquidation. Big level of support here on your macro golden pocket weekly MPOC value area low confluence. We obviously wicked right through that, but again, if you ignore these liquidation wicks, right, this still represents price action, but this was obviously caused by, massive liquidations. You could see price did settle on this golden pocket. You went back up into the value area high, back below the low, and right now we are rejecting that value area low. So I would say, like, this is your level. You tapped it, you tapped it, you tapped it, you tapped it. I mean, if we break down below this, I'll be honest, the next big level of support is your 786 down here. It's kind of like the same thing you saw happen on the wick. If we lose this, our next key level of support was the 786. Now, of course, those liquidations wound up bringing you down, I don't know, to zero. Obviously, that's unpredictable. But I would say, like, if you wind up losing this, your next big level is sitting down here near your monthly MPOC value area high and your 786, which sits between 0.016 and 0.014. That is your next significant level of support. You lose the golden pocket. Next place for price to likely go is going to be the 786 Fibonacci retracement, and you do have the confluence here with the monthly MPOC, which is technically tapped by this wick, but I'm going to keep it here on the chart just because that wick is, we don't ignore the wicks, but we also, we know why this happened, right? This wasn't just like everybody thought Pengu was dead and everyone sold and sent it to zero. It's all liquidations. These are all longs getting wrecked. So I would say the next sound level of support is going to be sitting down here. Actually, let me relabel this. 0.016 to 0.015. And then you have your POC sitting at about 0.014. So you can look at it as two separate levels or one big level, but those are the key levels of support. Once you wind up coming down here, if you do come back down, you're hoping to hold support and get a massive bounce. If you break down below this value area high, obviously your POC is right underneath, so I would look at that as more of a zone. Once you lose that point of control, I'd be looking down to the value area low at 0.010393. And again, I'm not calling for that to be the exact move, but if you lose this, when I try to find these next levels of support, we have because of this wick, right? Like there's no development down here. There's no daily level. There's no weekly level. I mean, heck, I don't even think there's like a 30-minute level. Not that I would mark out a 30-minute level. And look at that. The one place where you do hold on top of is right in that blue zone, which would make sense, right? Because that's where your support is. Again, not going to help you with those liquidations, but price did try to settle there to get the bounce. So this would definitely be the next level to look at on Pengu, in my opinion. So there you go. That's what I would look at on Pengu. Let's take a look at Ondo. Let's come on over to... Actually, I think I have an Ondo chart right here. Okay, so let's see. Again, I wish I could just delete these wicks. Can I turn off the wicks? There we go. This gives us a little bit of a better view on price action. Again, the wicks are important, obviously, but I'm just going to ignore it here just so I can see these clean levels. So let's see here. Where's the bottom of this golden pocket? Oh, it's pulled to the wick. It's crazy, man. But anyway, we have our golden pocket pulled from the high all the way down to the bottom of that wick. Golden pocket POC. This is still your key level of resistance. We already looked at this. You got the bounce, rejected off the golden pocket. I mean, your key support here is the value area low at 66 cents. If you wind up losing this POC, and let me just turn this wick back on. If you wind up losing, look at that tap on the value area low. Crazy. But yeah, I mean, at this point, right, you've gotten the full fill from your low over your POC into the value area high. You lose your value area high. POC is next. Lose the POC, value area low. And it's actually funny because when we looked at this in the past, guys, we were looking at some obvious key levels Fibonacci retracements from the lows to the highs to see if we can hold for higher lows and higher highs. But the one thing I did not like about this was the fact that we were approaching the POC from the value area high, which typically does call for the move all the way down to the value area low. And like it had to happen on that big liquidation wick, but we did get it, which is pretty weird. TA is so interesting. It's like, why it did not have to happen? Why did are the volume profiles really just that magical? But you know, POC golden pocket, I'll even just mark this out as its own zone, sitting between about 78 and 82 cents. This is the level to get above. I mean, if you could stay above the value area low at 66 cents, your hope is to get above that golden pocket point of control. Break above that, your next target's going to be the 786 at 94 cents. And then once you break above that, you could be on your way to start that bigger move towards the value area high. Now, is this the highest probability move? Well, if we take a look at our money flow here, 16-hour VWAP is coming out. Money flow is attempting to come up, but nothing really to write home about just yet. Daily money flow trying to come back up. No bullish divergence, and nothing really to write home about there either. 2-day money flow kind of flat. 3-day money flow coming into the red, but you have a green dot coming in. Yeah, it's just all this money flow is all chopped up, especially on the altcoins. So I'm not going to say that it's a higher probability that you come up and fill this range, if I'm being honest, right? Because if Bitcoin continues down, obviously the altcoins are going to get spanked as well. So, you know, I would definitely, once you get above here, maybe you can get a move into the 786, but I'd be very careful around both of these levels. Maybe the rejection has already come in here for the continuation down, but just like on Bitcoin, lower highs and lower lows are still in the cards here on these Fibonacci retracements. So that's your first major level of resistance. Second one's up here at 94 cents. And then once we get above there, we could maybe talk about getting up to the value area high. So there we go. 4-hour money flow is in the green, right? So 4-hour money flow doesn't look super. It's same thing as Bitcoin, honestly. Like all the money flow looks very similar on the altcoins. But your key level to not lose here is going to be the 66 cent value area low. I mean, you lose it temporarily, no big deal, but you don't want to get accepted out of here. So there you go. That's what I would look at on Ondo. Come back into our current chat here. I was all the way stuck. Life is risky. Shout out to Servando Estrada. You ever see that? I forgot what that guy's name is. Everything's risky. Life is risky. Getting a job is risky. Investing is risky. And if you think investing is risky, wait until you get the bill for not investing. Does anybody know that guy? That guy's lit. Okay, so let's continue on. Let's take a quick look at Cardano. All right, so Cardano holding for its life here on the 786. And again, ignoring the wicks here, guys. What was our thought process on Cardano? Break above the value area low, get above the POC. We'll go to the value area high for the full fill of your volume profile. When you get above your value area high or push into it, you're looking for the push back in. Of course, with bearish confirmations, you're never just longing these levels or shorting these levels blindly. You get the rejection from the value area high. At that point, the next place for price to eventually go is going to be the POC and eventually that value area low. And there is your full fill to the bottom of the range. Same thing as on Ondo. It's like, could you put in a higher low and a higher high on the POC Golden Pocket Confluence, which was, I believe, what we had there. Yeah, whoops. Let me turn the wicks back on for a second. Right, you had this like POC Golden Pocket Zone. Could you put a higher low in there? Yes, but when you're approaching from the value area low, the highest probability is more often than not for the full fill of the range, which does make the value area low, right? And if you lose that golden pocket, it's no big deal. If you lose that golden pocket, you would simply look to go to the 786. Just like when you lose the POC, you look to go to the value area low. And look where price settles, right on that value area low, 786 confluence. So this is definitely the level, again, right? Like, it's very hard for me to call for confident bounces here, but you know, you do have your 4-hour bullish divergence, similar to Bitcoin, lower lows, higher lows. This is not me calling for a massive pump, but if you can get that 4-hour money float across green, you would hope that this could help you maintain support inside this volume profile for the continuation of the uptrend, at least for a push into the POC. But again, you can't ignore the fact that we are 100% in a downtrend, right? So it's like you have a lot of work to do to switch this. So pulling our Fibonacci retracements from the high to this crazy wick low, I don't want to get rid of this blue box just because it is important, right? It is your key support, so I will keep this on the chart. But then your resistance is this golden pocket, and then your 786 POC, right? These are your two biggest levels of resistance for Cardano. And as a matter of fact, I wouldn't even just to show like how much of a pickle you are. It's like you're tapping into resistance, but you're on key support. It's like it's very hard. It's very hard. But let's just assume if you do get above this golden pocket, let's say you hold that 786 with the bull divs, 4-hour money flow crosses green, you do get a push up. This POC 786 / anchored VWAP / lows of this range are getting very, very close. Maybe if it's not really how I would prefer to pull the profile. Yeah, I mean, you have all these lows. You have the 786. You have the anchored VWAP. This is all going to be resistance on the way back up. So at the end of the day, it's like similar to what we looked at on XRP. It's like we got to get the move up. We got to get above this 786 POC zone and back into this profile to potentially look for higher prices. But until then, massive, massive support. I mean, resistance, right? And like even this is going to be resistance. So the biggest level to get above for Cardano, in my opinion, is going to be between 72 cents and 76 cents on the POC 786 and anchored VWAP. That's the biggest level. Other than that, market cipher is still pretty choppy here. Let's take a quick look at XRP. I'm sure some people want to see this. No real update here, right? Like I just brought up on Cardano. Here's your range lows. At this point, it's like, even if we get the rally up into these levels, it's like this is big resistance, guys. Like if we can't get out of this volume profile, this is the biggest level, right? Like I would like to see a break above all these levels and then flip it into support to start feeling better about a bigger continuation up into these areas. But even then, right, it's like we're still not out of the woods. We have a lot of work to do here on the altcoins, in my opinion. Let me just see where these fibs are. Of course, I'm going to have to find this wick. Yeah, I mean, like even into the golden pocket, and then even up here above the value area high. It's like very similar to Bitcoin. It's like if we want new all-time highs, like I basically got to see the all-time highs. And again, if I have massive bullish divergences, and we'll take a look at this, maybe XRP looks different. I doubt it. But if I had massive reasons to be looking for huge bounces here, I would call for it. I mean, we just don't have the bullish divergences. Lower lows. Lower lows. We don't have lower lows and higher lows. Money flow, you can argue, is attempting to trend to the upside. That's better than not. But then, yeah, 2-day very choppy, 3-day, man, this is brutal. This money flow is absolutely brutal. 3-day money flow still trending out. 4-day money flow still in the red here. So this is the high time frame money flow crossover here, guys. So it's like, I do have to be careful that if we do get these pushes back up, that they could just be retracements for lower highs and lower lows. But the biggest zone to look at to get above is 100% going to be this box right here between 270 and I would say 280. And then, again, it's not just a test of these levels and then, oh my God, we're above it, go, right? You could wick, right? And then wind up getting the lower high and the lower low. And if we do get that situation to play out, what I would look for there is, let's say you do get the bounce, lower high, lower low, right? I would be targeting the value area low, which of course the POC is going to be support, but that value area low at about 205 is the next significant level of support, right? We just looked at, was it Ondo or Cardano? Probably both of them that were bouncing off the golden pockets, right? If we lose this, where's price very likely to go next? It's probably going to go to the 786. If we lose the POC, where is price very likely to go next? The value area low. Both those levels are confluent. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it looks something like this. In order for me to look for higher prices, it's got to look like this. And again, not even that, right? It's got to be get above that 786 up here, and then we can look for new all-time highs. Until then, it is cautiously bullish on the pumps to the upside. So we'll see what happens. Oh, man. AVAC, shout out to B. Tyler. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I cannot look at AVAX because we are not doing super chats for altcoins, B. Tyler. I can't do it. I'll do it. Don't super chat your altcoins, guys, please. Or you can super chat them. It just doesn't guarantee that we look at them. Otherwise, we'll have to be here all night, which is not super against what I would like to do. But it would just be impossible to make. We'll just get a bunch of dollar super chats and we'll just be stuck there trying to please everybody. But I will take a look at AVAX just because I know there's a lot of other people that would like to see AVAX. Shout out to Legends. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He says, bro, can you go over how you manage risk in dollars From an A-class setup to a B-class setup, if you lose 2 A-plus setups, do you size down on the next ones? Shout out to Legends. This is going to depend, right? This really depends on your own personal risk management strategy. For me personally, I don't oftentimes, I mean, I guess I can't say not oftentimes, but for me personally, right, like when I am, let me try to get above here on a clean plane here. So the question is, how do you manage risk in dollars from A? So it's really the same for me no matter what, to be quite honest, right? What I tell people, right, everyone's in a different situation, and like there's really no like end-all be-all rule. I always tell people, if you're learning how to trade and you don't just want to gamble and you want to actually like learn and figure out how to manage risk, I always say this, risk management is always going to trump your win rate. You don't need a 80% win rate. A lot of people think like, oh, I just want to get the highest win rate possible. And although a high win rate is nice, it is nowhere near as important as your risk management. So I always tell new traders, risk between 1 to 2%, maybe 1 to 3% of your account. That means that when you enter a trade, it doesn't mean you can, if you have, let's just say you have a $100 account. That does not mean that you can only put $1 on the trade. What it means is if you get stopped out, you are going to only lose 1% of your account, right? So if you have a $100 account, you only want to risk 1%. If you get stopped out and lose the trade, you should only lose $1. Right? You can put way more on the trade. But that is how I manage the risk, right? And I don't always use 1%, but you know, again, for beginners, I always say use 1 to 2% because this will allow you to stay in the game for a very long time. You can lose 50 straight trades in a row and still have more than half your account if you're using 1%. And trading is a game of capital preservation. It's a game of defense. So what I would tell people is, you know, risk 1% of your account. That way, you know, I don't think you're going to lose 50. If you could flip a coin and you're not going to lose 50 trades in a row. But even if you did, right, if you were flipping a coin, if you're risking 1% of your account, you lose 50 straight trades in a row and still have money in your account. You're not going to blow up that account. So I always see people like, oh, man, I got wrecked on that move, which is fine if you understand why that's happening, right? You didn't get wrecked because because your TA is bad or you're a bad trader, or maybe you do have bad TA, maybe you are a bad trader, but it doesn't always mean that, right? If you get wrecked on a trade, right, when I hear wrecked, I think you lost more than you wanted to lose. That has nothing to do with the setup. That has nothing to do with your levels. It has nothing to do with the strategy that you're trading. It has to do with your risk management, right? You will, if you follow these rules strictly, you will never get wrecked, even if you lose 50 straight trades in a row. So what that means, that's kind of what I would say, right? Depending on your risk tolerance, and you could do the calculations. I think it's like if you risk 1% on a $1,000 account and you lose 50 straight trades in a row, I think you have like $630 left in your account after 50 losses. So that's basically what that means, right? It doesn't mean you won't put $1 on the trade. It just means if you get stopped out, you will only lose $1, right? And then obviously, if you are using that risk management and your wins are bigger than your losses, right? You can lose $1, lose $1, and then you make $5 on a trade. You just made up for those losses plus profit, right? So that's kind of what I would say for the risk management. Kind of how I approach it and what I tell people a good way to start is it's very important. Not a lot of people do this. This is, in my opinion, why most people lose money trading is because they just don't know how to manage the trades. So hopefully that helps you out, bro. Thank you for the super chat. AVAX looking like Ajax getting cleaned out. Shout out to B Griffin. Let's take a quick look at AVAX here. All right, so yeah, it's like same thing here on AVAX. And by the way, real quick, back to the risk management thing, guys. On almost every exchange, any of the exchanges that I use, or if you're using any of the affiliate links in the description for any of the exchanges that I use, before you hit buy or sell, it will literally tell you. Every exchange I use will tell you when you set your stop loss, which you should set before you enter the trade. If you do that, right, it'll tell you whenever you type in the price that you want your stop loss at, it'll tell you if this stop loss is triggered, you will take an estimated loss of X. Take that estimated loss. If that is 1 to 3% of your account, you're using decent risk management, right? It's not even like there is calculations that you can do, but you don't have to do the calculations, right? Just if you enter the trade, just make sure that when you set your stop loss, it says that if this is triggered, you're gonna lose this much. It has to be 1 to 3% of your account. If you want to follow that rule, you can use 5%, 10%, but at least then you know, right? Then you have an idea. Like if you lose half your account on one trade and you're like, oh my God, I got wrecked. What happened, right? Well, I mean, maybe the trade wasn't the best. Maybe it was, right? But at the end of the day, you know why you lost 50% of your account. The reason you lost it is because of the risk management, right? So there you go. All right, so let's take a look here. That's an old fib. We are holding that fib, which is kind of interesting, but let me go ahead and yeah, this is not what I would look at this point. So let me get rid of that. Well, one thing I will say is, I mean, you're back down below your macro value area high. I don't love it, right? 2161 is your value area high. I mean, you don't really want to get stuck underneath here, right? Because, like, if we can get stuck under here, and the one thing is you did build some value down here, so we may be actually able to break this down into a local range as well. But just to show the context here, here is your bear market range. We got the initial push up in 2024, and then we held it. We tried to hold it. We lost it. We lost it. We came up for a retracement. Now we're just back down in here. I really would like to get above this value area high at 2161. If you can't get back above here, I mean, it does open the door, if you take out these lows, to get the bigger fill of your volume profile. Right now, we are holding the POC. You can see the wick, that liquidation wick tapped right into that point of control. Obviously, a major, major key level to hold above. Get rid of that anchored VWAP real quick. So I would say lowest I would want to go here is that POC, but even at that point, if you get down to this POC, like if money flow is coming out and you retrace for lower highs, lose the POC, you could be going down to that value area low, which is sitting at about 1244. It's not guaranteed, right? Like if we can get back out of here, that would be nice. And I will pull up the local levels here as well. Let me just hide some of this stuff. Let me just drop this into a folder. And let me pull this range, this more local range here. Bada boom. So there is your local range. Value area high sitting at 2309, POC sitting at 2203, value area low sitting at 1786. So this lines up pretty much with the POC of that macro range, right? So that is nice. But this is what I would, this is what I would look at locally. Right? Lose the value area high, instant teleportation to the value area low. Can't get back to the high, can't get out, back to the POC. You're losing the POC. Next big key level I would look at is the value area low here at 1786. Wonderful year to be born. If you guys don't know, I was born in 1786. I know I look good for my age. But could also mark off that 786 as a little bit of a zone, right? So this zone between 1853 and 1784 is going to be the next key level to look at. And again, that is in the context of your volume profile. Can't get out of the high, lose the POC. Next place for price to likely go is going to be that value area low. Can't guarantee it. If we bounce here, right, it's like anything can happen, but more often than not, I would not be taking a long here. If it went up without me, I'd be happy to miss that. I would much rather wait for that 786 retracement. Almost the same situation that I just talked about on, I think it was Cardano. Right? It's like, can you hold that POC, which was confluent with the golden pocket at the time? Yes, but because you're approaching from the high of the range, it's like I would always prefer the trades at the value area low. It's the same thing here on Avalanche. Sure, you could bounce off that golden pocket. I mean, here you don't even have the confluence on the POC. It's just a lonesome golden pocket. So I would always prefer that value area low to look for a bounce. But you are technically at support right now, but I just prefer this level. And let me just pull this as well from the wick low to the high. Is that the one I just pulled? That is the one I just pulled. And let me just pull this real quick as well. Yeah, you lose that 786 too. It's like definitely looking lower. So those are the levels I'd look at. On AVAX. Value area low 1786, POC 2203, and the value area high 2309. Let's see if we could fill that whole profile. All right, let's see. Shout out to Megan, says he still has his short trade. I don't know if you're talking about me. I am still holding my short trade. Profits locked in, stop loss in profit. And if you guys are curious, my stop loss is above this high. Short was taken. Do I still have this set up on the chart? Let me see here. I think I do. Some lonesome short position. I think it's this one. Yeah. So this is my short position. Still holding it. Short from about $125. Let me see. I think I have it open here. I do. There's the entry. 120. almost 124K. That's the actual position. Stop loss, again, above that high in profit. Got 3,400 locked in. Still got almost $3,000 unrealized. And again, I'm just letting this stop out. If it pushes up and stops me out, I'll just make some extra money. I'll make an extra $1,500 in profit. No big deal, right? Guaranteed winning trade there. So I am holding the short. If we continue down, this is nice. I'm not going to lie, guys. Not that I'm rooting for this, but if the bear market comes, I might just hold this forever. Literally short from almost the all-time high. Not my, necessarily my expectation, but, we'll be crazy. Can't get much higher than that other than, top ticking it. I don't even know if you're talking about me, but yo, shout out to Indian Martini. Said BTC not pump because Frankie has an open. Maybe this is why we're dumping, because I'm holding the short. Maybe I should just hold longs. Maybe I should just open some longs and pump it back up. Let's see. Shout out to MJ said, dude, what? You literally look 28. Shout out to MJ. Yeah, no, I was born in, 17, I forget at this point. It's so long ago. 1756, I think. But yeah, I look good for my age. I'm like billion years old at this point. Let's see. RH says, Frankie, please speak about spot, same question, rules, profit. Shout out to RH. I'm not 100% sure exactly what you mean by that. If you could clarify it, I'll try to answer that question for you. Shout out to Crypto Knight, said JK, rock that short, brother. Shout out to Crypto Knight. I don't want to. Stop me out, right? I don't even care. Stop me out of this. I'm still gonna get stopped out in profit. Got the profits locked in. Send it up. I want Bitcoin to pump, guys. I really do. I really do. It's late and bedtime. Cheers, Frankie. Shout out to X82. Thank you for being here, bro. And we will see you tomorrow, I guess. I assume. Kava, please take a look. Shout out to the Godfather. Let's take a quick look at Kava. Oh, man. Not gonna lie. I'm not saying you have to fill these wicks. It's just like every time I see this, it's just like my brain. Not that I would trade based off this, but it's just like my brain just says it wants to fill the wick. Again, not like legitimate TA there, but it is just what my brain defaults to. Let's take a look here. Do we have a Kava chart? I don't think we do. All right, so let me just get chart with the most price history. That was literally what we're looking at. Tether. All right, I'll just take this one. I don't know if there's more price action than this, but I don't want to spend too much time. Man, this is not looking great. And, I mean, one thing you can say here is, you're definitely super oversold on the weekly. VWAP is coming up. You have this massively oversold momentum wave. This is the lowest it's ever been, at least on this chart, at negative 100. Massively oversold. With your weekly VWAP coming up. Let's check the 3-day here. Green dot printing. No bullish divergences, but you do have your green dot. Money flow is coming out aggressively. 2-day money flow coming out aggressively. No bullish divergence. Daily bull div, and again, this is not oftentimes, is this a healthy, clean bullish divergence? I wouldn't say so. Here's your low. Where's that actual low? Here's your low. There, yeah, it's just not clean. But you do have momentum tempting to come up. But yeah, I'm just going to give you the levels on this because, this needs to settle. There's not a lot I can do with this price action. I need some kind of development. I need some structure to look at. But let me just pull this real quick. How do I want to pull this profile? I'm going to look at it like this. So here's your upper profile, obviously very far away, but I think it's important to mark out anyway. Value area low, POC, value area high. And you can get those levels by just putting the horizontal lines on these prices, and then you could just draw out the box. But yeah, there's your, 2021. So here's your bull market range. We lost the range. And now, this thing is just totally broken down at this point. Let me pull some other profiles. So I see a little bit of balance right here. See a little bit of I mean, not my favorite range here, but this would have to. There's not a lot I can do with this, right? Like, all I can say is, I mean, it's almost impossible for me to find any kind of support because I can't look left. Only way I could find support is if I was looking at extension levels, but like even with that wick, like I don't know how much that's going to help us out, right? So you do have this 12-cent Fibonacci extension level. That's the only support I can see, right? Underneath that, you have 3 cents, 0.0375 down here. But I just don't have a lot to work with, right? Like, I wouldn't really be able to give any kind of sound analysis on this unless we get some kind of development in here, or if you just scam back to the upside and get back into this volume profile, in which case, it's brutal, man. Let's get that wick. What was this on Kava? The leverage is crazy, man. 98% wick. That is insane. That's got to be record breaking, right? Like, what is this? 98% 1 hour candle. I wonder like how long that goes on for, right? Like 30-minute candle. Is that a 98% 30-minute candle? Probably. Yeah. Oh my God, man. All the dang longs had to do that. But very hard for me to really like give any kind of like significant bias here until I get some kind of development, and I'll just mark out these extension zones. Let me take off this golden pocket 786. Whoops. Take off the golden pocket and that 786. Why did this move? Okay. So there's your extension levels. 12 cents is that next extension level. You lose that, I can't really find anything until that back down here. But if you do get that push back to the upside, yeah, I mean, I would just watch this volume profile. This is really the only thing I can look at. And you're super far away from it, so I know that doesn't really help much. There's not a lot I can look at here, though, unfortunately. It's not just much price action to look at down here. You like really just need to let things settle out. But if you did get a move back up, there's your next, valid volume profile here at starting at about 36 cents. If you can get back in there and flip that to support, you could maybe come back into this area of balance. But until then, just got to let this thing play out, unfortunately. Next key level at about 12 cents. Hopefully you can hold that. So there you go. I wish I could help more. I forgot who asked for that. I'm sorry. I'm sure you were hoping for more than that, but that's all I can really talk about there. The wick went to 0. Shout out to Jesse. Yeah, that was not a pretty wick. 98% 30-minute candles, guys. That's like a new thing in crypto. If someone says like, "Hey, man, I see you trading and stuff. I was just thinking about maybe getting into crypto," right? Like one of my normie friends, I'm just gonna be like, "Don't get in unless you're ready to go at down 98% in 30 minutes." That's like a new crypto degenerate flex right there. Shout out to RH said, "Oh yeah, you explained about taking profit. Can you guide on how to trade / take profit on spot?" Shout out to RH. I'll just kind of thanks so much, Frankie, for taking the time to look at it. Cheers, cheers, buddy. Shout out to the Godfather. Yeah, I wish I could help you out more, bro. But just keep asking for it. If there's more development, I'll give you an update here a little bit when I have a little bit more to look at. I mean, his chart's just, oh man, it's just brutal to look at right now. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll just kind of like quickly go over what I look at, right? And like I'll just kind of give it. Oh my God, we're at 108. Jeez, she's cooking, guys. She's cooking, and that is to the downside. But let's see here. So on Bitcoin, right? Like I'll just use Bitcoin for an example. I'll pull up the Bitstamp chart so I can get all the price action in here, and I'll just give you an idea of what I look for, right? I have my macro bull market targets, right? Bull market target number 1 for me. You can see this marked out, and this is not in hindsight, right? Like these levels have been up here. I've talked about these all the way when we were down here at like 30K, I think is when I called out these targets. Target number 1 was between $92,000 and $102,000. I took very small profits on my Bitcoin up here, right? What happens? We get inside this Fibonacci extension zone. We bing bong around. We go for our bull market correction. We get back above it. Next target number 2 there was sitting right here between 122,647 and 137,601. We had come up. We had tapped into the second target, and that is where we're rejecting from right now. So the way, it's the same way that I accumulate, right? When it's the bear market, I like to dollar cost average in. I do not, contrary to what a lot of people would think a trader or, someone like me would do, which is wait for the exact bottom and then buy all my bag. That is not what I do. Like, this is very hard to do, even for somebody like me. What I like to do is the weekly money flow. Weekly money flow oftentimes indicates that you are going to come into the bear market. Once I get that first big drop down and that money flow is in the red on the weekly, this is where I start dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. I buy a little bit every day, every week, every month, whatever it is for you. You buy a little bit when it's going down. You buy a little bit on the retracements. You just buy consistently as that weekly money flow is in the red. And then I think right here is pretty much where I stopped buying. I got an average entry price at around $20,000. And then you come into the bull market, right? And just like you dollar cost average in the bear market on the way down, you can dollar cost average on the way out. And of course, are you going to maximize the absolute highest amount of profit that you can make? Absolutely not. Well, if you want to capitalize on the max profit, you would have to snipe the bottom, put your whole bag in at the tippy bottom, and then figure out how to sell at the exact top, right? This is very hard to do. So for the long-term bags, I'll dollar cost average in on the way down, right? I don't start here and buy all the way down. I wait for that first big drop down because I know that, if you're in a bear market, it's going to be a little while. And then same thing on the way up, but a little bit different, right? I have those targets, and I say, hey, if we go into our first new all-time high, where's that first Fibonacci extension level? Well, it's sat right here. You come up in, right? You take some small profits. I do what you would consider like a weighted dollar cost average out. Target number 1, just for example, let's say you take 10%. Right? When you get to target number 2, you could take maybe 30%. When you get to target number 3, you could take 50%, whatever it is, right? You're just taking more and more profit the higher up you go. So that's kind of what I do. I have my preset targets. I take profit here. I have not taken profit just yet up here. But again, like I said, I'm getting kind of itchy up here to take some profit. But, I was hoping to push up a little deeper into about $137,000 to take profit. But with where we are in the cycle, I am getting a little itchy to just shave some more off the table here, right? So that's kind of what I do. It's just like take a little off here, and you don't have to weight it, right? You don't have to take a bigger percentage as you go up. You could just do, hey, I'll take 20% here, 20% here, and then 20% here, or whatever it is, right? But I am not just holding all my Bitcoin, waiting to come into the last target, which sits up at like $200,000 to $230,000. I am not just going to hold all I've already taken a little bit of profit over here back in December of 2024. So I'm never just going to hold for 200K, right? Why? Well, because I don't have a guarantee that we're definitely going to see those targets come in, right? I could just say to myself, if we come up in here and we start seeing, massive bearish confirmations, well, I'm probably going to take some profit. It's my target. And then if we continue up, I'll take some more profit. If we continue up, I'll take more profit. And if it looks like the top is coming in here, maybe I take all my profit. So that's kind of how I deal with like profit taking on spot bags. I have these preset levels already before, right? Again, it's not me just praying, hopefully we get to 200K. I'll just wait for that. And, that's how you wind up round tripping your bags. So I like to take a little bit off at each target. So hopefully that helps you out. Just a quick explainer on how I do that. So there you go. Shout out to Eddie. He said, Frankie, do you think that we'll get a fill of the wick before moving up to all-time highs? Shout out to Eddie. Maybe. It depends on what happens when we fill the wick, right? It's kind of hard to say. Like, come down, fill the wick. I mean, here's the thing, right? If we come down to fill the wick and we don't get the strong bounce from the 50-week moving average and we break down below here and start closing multiple weekly candles, I'm not going to be expecting to go back to all-time highs. But we're not there yet, right? If that happens, especially if we're closing multiple weekly candles down here with high time frame money flow coming out, I'm not going to look to go to all-time highs. So it really depends on the reaction we get down here if we do push down. And again, we have the 50-week moving average. We have the weekly MPOCs, like I just showed. Weekly MPOC, daily MPOCs, right? We have the, that's the monthly. Weekly MPOC, monthly MPOCs, and the 50-week moving average all in confluence down here, guys. Massive support, right? And at that point, you're already below your bull market support band, which is okay, right? I don't really look at the bull market support band as like an end-all, be-all level. I'll pull it up here just so you guys can see it, right? There's your bull market support band. I mean, we're below it right now. So, it's not the worst thing in the world to get. We've gotten below the bull market support band, lost it, and came back up. But again, I'm not worried about it here. I'm not worried about it here. But when we start looking at the timing of the cycles, it's like, I don't know, man. Like, this is not where you want to start losing the bull market support band. It starts to get a little bit sketchier when you lose it this late in the cycle. Of course, assuming that the cycle doesn't extend, which you guys know my thoughts on that at this point. So, at that point, it's like, could we bounce here, get back above? Well, we've seen that happen many times. You lose it, tap the 50-week, get back above it, send it up, right? Lose the bull market support band, tap the 50-week, tap the 50-week, get back above it, send it back up. Lose the bull market support band, tap the 50-week moving average, get back above, push it to higher prices. All right, so we've seen the bull market support band lost here, 50-week saves you. Lose the bull market support band here, 50-week saves you. Lose the bull market support band here, 50-week saves you. Lose the bull market support band here, 50-week moving average saves you. I hope, right? But if even if we do see that, hopefully it would be for new all-time highs. But it really depends on the reaction we get there. If we start losing we did not close weekly candles below the 50-week. We did not close weekly candles below the 50-week. We did not close weekly candles below the 50-week. If we start closing weekly candles down here, it's a different situation. We're getting late in the cycle. We're closing weekly candles down below. And again, I know I've shown this a million times, but same thing here. Lose the bull market support band, bounce off the 50-week, can't get back above the bull market support band, lose the 50-week. Now you can't get back above the 50-week or the bull market support band, bear market. And again, it was accompanied by weekly money flow crosses over into the red, weekly blood diamonds, and monthly weekly bearish high time frame bearish divergences. We don't have the weekly money flow coming out just yet, right? If you look at your weekly money flow here, it's still pretty thick in the green, which is nice to see, right? But if we come back over here, you could see, if we're somewhere like right here, that weekly money flow was still in the green pretty good, right? So it's like not that much different. It's not like where we are right now, weekly money flow was crossing into the red. It wasn't until we got that bigger breakdown below the 50-week and the retracement back into it, right, that we were seeing the weekly money flow coming out aggressively. So I'm being very cautious. I hope if we fill the wick and we do get a bounce, we are going to be looking for longs on that level in the premium Discord. But again, like I am not necessarily, I'll be looking at it as a potential swing trade, but I'm going to be very careful on those ways back up, on the way back up to, fight these potential big support levels that are going to flip into resistance. So we'll see. Is it impossible to fill the wick and go into new all-time highs? No, but it's going to depend on what money flow looks like when we get down there and on the retracement back up. So we're praying. And heck, at this point, guys, I'm praying this time is different, right? But I'm not just going to tell you guys that, like, I can't just say, like, oh, this time's different. Don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry. Weekly bear, monthly bear div, 2-month bear. Don't worry about it, guys. It's fine. This time's different. I could say it's possible, but I just can't ignore all those bearish signs. And again, what do we have up here? Weekly, monthly bearish divergences, higher highs, lower highs on almost every high time frame. What do we have here? Higher highs, lower highs on almost every higher time frame. Where are we in the timing of the cycle? I would say we are pretty much right here, guys. We're like right here. We got the big liquidation wick. We're getting the bounce. We're below the bull market support band. It's like very similar. If I had to guess where we were in this cycle, it's right here. And you might say, like, well, what if this was the C19 wick of the cycle and we're going to start printing money and go up? That's fine, right? Like, that could happen. That just means it's going to be totally different than every other time, which I pray is the case. I just can't say it's the highest probability. So there you go. BTC needs some milk. Somebody get BTC some milk. Shout out to Conspirator, said, Frankie, any advice for someone who trades primarily on a phone or mobile? It's so much harder to see the big picture. Shout out to Coinspirator. I assume that means you do not have a computer and you can only chart on your phone. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, it is obviously a little bit more comfortable to trade on like a screen where you can actually look at the candles on a bigger, screen. But I will say this, right? Everybody always tells me, what's the best computer for trading? What's the best setup for trading? Your phone, right? Like, you don't need any kind of special setup, right? Like, my setup's kind of nice, but it's because I like that stuff, right? Like, I want a cool setup. But you do not need some crazy setup. Like, you could use a Chromebook to trade. You could use a phone to trade. You could use an iPad to trade. Now, obviously, it's going to be nice on a big ultra-wide monitor. But it is going to be hard, right? Like, you're kind of just limited to the size of your screen. But what I would say, like, even if you have a laptop or something like that with a bigger screen, you could always chart on there. But I guess you could just trade on there. If you don't, tips, I don't know. I would say put your phone in horizontal. That'll help you see the bigger picture. But yeah, I don't know. One thing I will say, don't let that discourage you if you can't trade on anything other than a phone, because it is more of like a luxury to see it on a big screen. It's not really a necessity, but I could imagine it's kind of annoying to look at the big screen as well. One thing you can do that will give you a lot more real estate on your screen, which is actually what you can do is if you go into your chart settings and go to Canvas. So what you can do, I'm not going to be able to show you on the phone, but if you come into your chart settings and you go to Canvas and you change it's scale and lines. No, it is Canvas. Come down here, go to text, and change your text to as small as it goes. And what this will do, right, if you have like your text is bigger, you can see like my screen scrunches to the right. If you make this as small as possible, it's actually frees up, especially on a phone. Changing this to the smallest text size will actually free up a lot of real estate on your screen. That's probably the only tip that I can really give to help you out. And it actually will help. The smaller those text sizes, the more real estate you'll have for the candles. So that's what I would say. It's actually, I'm kind of proud of that. That's like a weird niche thing. Yeah, because I've had that trouble too. I hate looking at the chart on my phone. And if you just make those numbers, the text a lot smaller, it'll really help, right? So there you go. That'll actually give you a decent amount of real estate. So hopefully that helps you out, brother. Shout out to I think that says leverage left on. Says get a bigger phone like the Samsung Fold. I actually do have a Fold just for the Discord. When I travel, I'll bring my Fold with me. It, like, opens up. It's pretty fire, but it's also very laggy, and oftentimes it's so frustrating. I just wind up opening up my laptop in the airport anyway. But yeah, or you could just, you could get like Chromebooks or even like a secondhand Chromebook. Like you could probably find a Chromebook for like $150, honestly. Like even like refurbished or maybe even new. You do not need anything crazy. You just need something with a web browser. If you could get anything with a web browser that has a big screen, you could trade on that for sure. Shout out to Megan, said you could zoom in and out. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, yeah, you could zoom out a bit as well. I got a Z Flip. Yo, the new Z Fold is kind of crazy. That thing is thin. I held it in Best Buy. It's like a piece of paper. But guys, I'm already way over time here, but we had a lot to look at today as Bitcoin. Just real quick, I'll come back in here and yeah, we'll see what happens here. Let me pull up the key levels again here. We'll pull up our main range. So we are getting rejected out of the value area high. We are now coming into our golden pocket 786 Fibonacci retracement. This is literally the level that we looked at in the beginning of the live stream. And we're now lost that level, right? We have the low time frame money flow coming out. Remember the 15-minute money flow crossover into the red. I thought you guys were going to have to wait for this. I know you guys can't see the prices here. Just bear with me. 15-minute money flow crossover with that 4-hour red dot. 4-hour red dot prints. That 15-minute money flow crossover is what I would have looked at if we signed off before this happened. This is what I would have looked for the bigger drop down. We've now gotten that in all of its glory. I wish I checked on this live so you guys can see that. I always talk about the Market Cipher B 116 strategy with the high time frame red dots and the low time frame money flow crossovers. It's one of the best things to look at from just a simple indicator perspective to look for the direction on price. And this is the perfect example. Literally talked about this in the beginning of the stream. This indicates the trend in the context of the 15-minute will continue down, right? Because you have the 4-hour red dot. When these happen at the same time, the money flow crossover is the thing to look at to look for that continuation down. It'll happen almost every time. Maybe not every time, right? But like I'd say 70% of the time. I don't have actual statistics, so take that with a grain of salt. But if you guys watch the show, you guys will know how often that plays out. So we'll see what happens. Let me actually, before we sign off here, let me actually bring up some other support because we're already pushing through this level. And there is the tap on that value area high as well. I'm not gonna lie, guys. It's really not the best look. The next real key level that I could look at. Let me see if I can pull a profile on this. Try to find something. And I don't just want to fabricate something that isn't legit. Where's that anchored VWAP at? I think I already have it on the chart here. Yeah, we're below the anchored VWAP from the low. Let me just pull this to the wick low now. Where's that coming at? That's already below. Man, I hope we reclaim the anchored VWAP. We are testing major support here, guys. We do not want to lose this level. We'll see. Maybe we have to hang out down here. We get stuck under this level, guys. We might be headed down towards those bigger levels of support that I went over in the beginning of the stream, which is obviously going to be this zone right here sitting between. Let me make this font bigger, which is obviously going to be right here, sitting between $102,417 and $101,000. This is the next major level of support. Hopefully, I mean, we could pull the full fib. This is probably the only thing that we're not tapping yet. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much I like this, to be quite honest. It's value area high, golden pocket. Maybe you bounce off this golden pocket, but I am inclined. Yeah, I'm just going to mark this out. Golden pocket, value area high. I'll even just take the fib off between $108,000 to $107,000. I mean, it just comes back to that macro level. If we get stuck under here, guys, man, that's your last chance. We lose that, we're cooking to the POC, in my opinion. And hopefully we could see something turn around. I'll keep you guys updated. We'll see what happens down here. I'm going to probably just sign off and stare at the charts a little bit more. But we'll see. Let me see if I can get anything else on money flow here. 45-minute in the red, 90-minute. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We got the 4 minutes left for the daily close. See if we got a daily red dot, but it's a little bit too hard to say. We're testing the level, guys. This is the place. If we don't bounce here, I'm looking lower, down to the $102,000 to $101,000 level. Hopefully, we're not checking in on that tomorrow. Hopefully, we're talking about the bounce from the value area high, the flip of the 112K level into the POC. But I'll keep you guys updated here every step of the way. If something crazy happens tomorrow, I'll drop a market update. But with all that being said, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Smash that like button on your way out. If you're not already, subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, if you go into the free Discord or just check the link in the description down below, if you're looking for a place to trade, check out WeX. They have that welcome bonus for the start of our partnership. So go check them out if you're interested. And with all that being said, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. Shout out to Vegas Call. Shout out to MCS. Shout out to DJ Mac B. Shout out to Dizzy Gang, Bossman, Jers, Servando Estrada, Mystic Ruin. Hey, shout out to Mystic Ruin. Welcome in, bro. Crypto Knight. And last but not least, Rudy. Thank you for being here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. Pray for Bitcoin. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close, been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Vegas Claw, Frankie Candles is the type of guy to wear a life jacket while mopping is absolute dirty work. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. You know the rest. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run